It's all come down to this. Last chance. Welcome back to the 2024 PUBG Mobile Global Championship League stage, live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Group Green dominated survival stage with all their teams qualifying to last chance. However, DX's convincing performance put them at the top of the leaderboard. Meanwhile, teams like Loops Esports, MSJ, and Bigatron, it came down to the last match. With Loops Esports being able to qualify in dramatic fashion, they were tied with 17th place at 55 points, but they were able to win the tiebreaker. 16 teams, 12 matches, and only 6 spots available to the grand finals in London. This is last chance.
Last chance where only 6 teams can move into the grand finals to join all the other teams qualified into London. Welcome back, everyone, to the desk. I'm Jason Kaplan, joined by Hot Jukes and Max Mann. I wish my name was a little bit better because I could actually fit into that. Hot Jukes and Max Mann. I'm Jason Kaplan. How are you doing today, Max?
I'm doing good because I have such a cool name, Jason. I'm doing fantastic. But no, for real, this is the last chance, the last opportunity for some of these teams to qualify into the grand finals. And from what we've had already happen in the survival stage, it's going to be a good weekend here, Jason, to see who's going to make it to the next stage.
Well, Jukes, I have to ask you, with how our leaderboard's already set up in last chance, is there any potential movement on that leaderboard, or is it already set in stone?
Was set in stone, that's for sure. But you know what? We're going to definitely see some movement today. And today is it's serious business, guys. I mean, at the end of tomorrow, over 50 people are going to go home. Their hopes and dreams, all that work they've done for this entire year is going to be over. So, man, you know, I always give teams like I call it the Hot Jukes excuse card. Yeah, think about
6
it. 40
teams of 4, 6 times 4, 24, 64 in a lobby.
They're making it.
That's 44
too many numbers.
10 teams
40
times
people?
4 people plus their coaches and
10
stuff.
teams.
Yeah.
What's this intro?
Okay, whatever. Right. So basically,
40.
look, at the end of the day, you know, we're looking at these squads that are going to try to make it in, and the thing is that they got to start off strong here. There's no excuses. Sandhawk is going to be just as important as all the other maps.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, considering it's just 2 days, like, you could be the best team in the world, have a bad day, and there goes your chance of getting into the grand finals. Like, that's kind of how hectic it is. That's kind of how cutthroat it is. So if you are a team that really struggles with consistency, well, you might be going home as we get into this one, Max. I mean, obviously, we saw a lot of teams have massive step-ups. In particular, you were talking a lot about Encilio, RCB, Void Donkey as well. This is going to be like the perfect time for that step-up to hopefully carry on over.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of hope for RCB and Void Donkey ID, Jason, because they've been able to follow up their improvement after the initial league stage, right, the group stage, into survival stage. Encilio, I'm scared it might just be a flash in the pan, right? We've seen over the last 3 days, and I want to see a bit more hopefully this weekend, but they showed true potential here, Jason, and really, if they play the same kind of caliber they showed in the survival stage, I think there's a very, very good chance Encilio could be in the top 6 this Sunday.
I mean, it's just going to be hard. I'm going to say this. I think last chance is the true group of death here for all these teams. I mean, there's really no easy team to fight against. There's no feeder teams really in this lobby. So if you want to be the best 6, you really have to work for it. And you really have to pretty much make almost no mistakes here. But you can see how the points work. It's the same way it's been for the last few years. I mean, Chicken Dinner, 10 points. Eliminations, though, I think that's what I'm mostly going to be focused on here, gentlemen. Because with only 12... Actually, I don't know. I kind of feel like with only 12 matches to play, I feel like eliminations have more weight. But at the same time, you get like 2 wins. That's already like a really good step into being top 6 here, Jukes.
Sure. I think you said it earlier, right? I mean, there's no mistakes. Not a single one. I mean, one bad game literally could be you going home. Because with only 12 matches, we're going to see 6 teams just play to absolute perfection here. You know, those are the teams that are going to be putting up, you know, 6 points minimum when they don't get zoned, and then 20 points whenever they do. So, man, the pressure is definitely on for so many of these teams, Max.
Yeah, and every point is going to count. We said it multiple times, but look at IW and RX in their group, right? They missed out by qualifying by, what, 1-2 points? And here, just yesterday, FaZe missed out to qualify for the last chance by literally a tiebreaker. They were tied with the Loops to 55 points. So you got to bring your A game from the very, very start of today. In the Sanhok, you need to pop off. You got to get some decent points. Even your bad games, Jason, we say it many times, your bad games still need to bring points on board, because otherwise you're going to fall fall out of relevancy really quickly in these 2 days.
And I think, Max, I mean, I know you say it a lot, but I think that's what we're really going to be hitting home today is those bad games you do have when it's only 12 matches. They better not be true bad games. Your bad game has to be around, 6 points, as you're saying, to still have a chance to qualify here. So, and even John, our stat man, expects the bubble to be about 80 points plus or minus 3. So it could be 83, could be 77, or it could be anywhere between those two. With an 8-point average per match to be safe. So even your bad games of 6 points, Max, might not be enough to get yourself top 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like, we want to try and get 4, 5, 6 eliminations if you can, even in your bad games. And after this, of course, you want to still bring placement points on board. But it's going to be a wild ride, man. I cannot wait to get into the games and dissect what these teams are doing, because some need to bring changes to the table. Some teams, with what they've showed Hot Jukes in the last 3 days, guess what? If they play the same way, it is not going to cut it. It is not good enough for top 6. It is not good enough for London. So maybe some teams are going to have to start to be way more aggressive, because passiveness is not going to be good enough.
Big changes, baby. Let's see it.
Well, one way these teams can do so is by maximizing the use of their Infinix GT20 Pro by putting a sick wallpaper on it. Maybe my face, maybe Jukes' face, maybe, well, no, not Max's face. We don't want to see that on a wallpaper.
Good old blank.
I will take blank, though, with this 120 FPS and 144 Hertz AMOLED screen. Make sure you guys pick one up to play like the pros, because they've been using this pretty much all year long in specific regions. We've had at PMWC, now at PMGC. So I'm excited to see what the teams can really do with it. On top of that, make sure you guys are following at PUBG Mobile Esports over on YouTube, your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok. I had to look for reactions there, because I know you guys don't like Chicken Diddy and you don't like Pachonkers. I guess you don't like Tiki Talkie either. But also, we still have tickets available for the grand finals over in the UK in London between the 6th and 8th of December. Go experience the culture of London, not to mention getting to see your favorite teams go head to head, so you can call themselves the best team in the world. There's going to be activities, there's going to be free giveaways, and a chance even to meet some of your favorite talent. Who's your favorite talent, Max?
Am I in trouble if I don't? It's Jason Kaplan. It's Jason Kaplan.
Good answer. And also, a good thing is that we currently have the update 3.5 available with the Icemire Frontier. You guys can go in, command the frozen battlegrounds with its ancient creatures like the mammoth and saber-tooth tiger. You can watch Noctura get eliminated here by the dragon, and the flames of Icefield rekindle right now. And you can maybe get yourself a cheeky MG3, right, Max?
I got 2 yesterday.
It was a good time. We going to Kimbo MG3.
I know, I could only use 1 because it takes up too much ammo, but I did have 1 and I was having a good time. And defeat it, it's hard, man. There's too many players trying to beat it at the same time. It's hard.
All right, let's take a look here at teams to focus. Jukes, we'll start with you. You've got Team Liquid, Voin Donkey, and D+.
That's right. I am focusing on Sandhawk this time, right? Because this is serious business here.
Okay.
D+, we know they like to go drop in docks, and they performed so well, so I'm expecting them to come out the gate strong. Now, as far as big drop spot locations, changes, Voin Donkey are actually going to have Hot 10 all to themselves. So that's going to be really good. The fact that I8 is not here is going to help them out big time. Another couple, a place I got an eye on, though, is going to be in boot camp, because we could definitely see that Stalwart. In Paradise. Yeah, Stalwart and D Xavier might be going at it as well. So that'll be fun to watch.
There's no way they commit to it, right?
I think so. I mean,
I can't zoom my camera in for the second right there.
I hope Max, they share. Yeah,
if you're talking about Star Wars, talking about D Xavier is the team you had chosen with Regnum Karyabrun IWNRX.
Yeah, I mean, D Xavier, we saw what they could truly bring to the table, Jason, when they had no pressure on their shoulders. They were like, at the start of the day, we know we're qualified alongside Major Pride. All we have to do is just try and flex on people and try and get first place. That would be a great achievement, which they were able to do successfully in survival stage, overtaking D plus Kia by, 12 points? Like, that's a significant gap for 2 days of play per team, technically. So D Xavier, if they're going with the same kind of mindset, hopefully Hot Jukes, no hot drop against Stalwart. I would hate it. It's horrible. But outside of that, this team has showed like true insane fragging potential that can just rival the best teams in the world. And for that alone, I think that D Xavier can very easily be top 6. And I feel like a grand finals, Jason, without D Xavier would feel weird, because it feels like they always make it in some way, shape, or form. So they need to make it again. It's tradition by now.
You know what, Max? On the note of the hot drop, when have we seen Stalwart ever not go for the hot drop back in the
right? That's what I'm
saying. I
hope
D Xavier look back and like, oh wait,
changed.
Stalwart. We should maybe skip. It is Stalwart. Sure, we might beat them, but they're so stubborn, man. Let's just give it up. I would give it up personally.
Dude, with 12 matches, I can't. But I will be so shocked.
Exactly.
If it happens.
1000% agree. You cannot afford to have a hot drop here. lose your hot drop. Even if you win the hot drop, great, you got 4 eliminations, but how many players survive the hot drop? And are you going to be able to do much more after that? So completely agree with you. I went with Incilio. I went with 77, and I went with Regnum Karya, bro. I think that's like 3 teams who, had a really good performance, really good rise throughout the course of PMGC, thinking back to the group stages as well. In my head, it's like, can they maintain what they were just doing the last couple days? And I know we talked about, when it came to survival stage, Group Green, we were wondering, is it an advantage or disadvantage to go straight into survival after 2 days? Like, you had a 2-day break and you're back in. But the upside is you were warm. You've already had 4 days of play, and you're already into the mix. Whereas Group Yellow, you had a couple of weeks off. Is there ever going to hit a point now that we're in last chance that you're going to start to really lose your endurance here from any teams from these Group Green, that you're going to start to struggle and those mistakes will come through?
I don't know, I feel like some teams are just going to be a bit tired here, but you got so much on the line. I think you just forget about the fatigue, right, Hodgix? Just put it aside. We'll be tired on Monday.
Yeah, the only tiredness these guys have is from staying up all night because of how nervous they are. Other than that, these guys are going to bring the heat today. They have to. And speaking of Group Green, there's one team in particular I was really kind of looking at, and I was looking at every single stage when I was eyeing Team Liquid. Okay, and when it came to their Sandhawk drops, every single group that they've been in, they have had to change their drop, and that's the same here. They're actually going to be dropping, for at least for what I know, is going to be just a little bit north of D plus Kia here. So the fact that they're having to constantly change that Sandhawk drop isn't going to do them any favors. But, like we talked about earlier,
that I'm trying to will it into existence, I sense, at least for 4MV, some roster changes happening if they don't make it to the grand finals.
What, for 2025, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, maybe. I think we're going to see some roster. I'm even thinking maybe Vampire, after how they played. Maybe there's going to be some roster changes there. Like, big names will have to rethink their whole situation going in 2025 if they just completely fluffed it going into this tournament, right? And I think it could be happening. We're going to have upsets. I mean, look at some of the big names we have, Jason. We have D Xavier, D plus Kia, RCB, you have Stalwart, Major Pride, IWNRX, Falcons, Team Liquid, 4MV, Mirren Sejong, BTR. Like, all of these guys aren't going to qualify. Some of these teams, their story ends this Sunday. They are done. After that 12th game, they are out of the 2025 circuit, 2024 circuit, and will be back next year for 2025. And some will be like, well, you know what? It just did not quite work out. You 2, you 3, like, you're out, and we're going to have to bring some new blood into the squad, which we know through Ultimate Royale, Jason. We don't highlight it a lot. There's a lot of new blood that's going to come through Ultimate Royale that is just going to come in the scene and just obliterate everyone heading in PMSL.
Well, Hotjukes, I'm going to go to you with this one because we do know the starting rosters for all these teams today.
Okay.
And one thing that's going to stand out, there's no Uriel for Mirren Sejong. Jaesuk is playing. After hearing from their coach, they wanted to get ready for last chance with Uriel. They went back to Jaesuk. Also, 4MB, they put Apex back in over Arrow. And BTR, they're putting Genfos in over Hansel.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we saw that roster swap happen like in the last final games yesterday when their tournament life was on the line. It happened to work out for them, which is great, but after hearing the coach's interview, I didn't have a lot of confidence because that guy was not giving up too much information. Bigatron, I'll be honest, I'm very worried for, because when it comes to Erangel, I heard that they're giving up Milta to Incilio, and that is a huge change for them. So I think they're really hoping for that Northwestern Circle here in Sandhawk.
Okay, well, we are just a few seconds out before we get into our first match of Last Chance. I cannot believe we finally made it here. It's taken, what, 3-4 weeks to get to this point? And all the teams playing this entire year, it comes down to this. These next 2 days of play, these next 12 matches, and of course, it all starts off here on Sandhawk with, once again, John Allen and Blink.
The month-long march continues for these teams to make their way to the global finals in London later on in December. Make sure you grab your tickets because it is going to be a hot one. Let's get into Sandhawk to kick things off.
It has been a long time coming up. It's the last chance. It's the last 2 days of the PMGC group stage before we head to those grand finals, which are right around the corner, just about a fortnight away. Before we kick off with that, but first we have to get 6 teams through this grueling slog to the end. And then tomorrow we can take those 6 teams with us over towards London, where they will battle off against the rest of a brutal lobby.
Oh dear. Paradise Resort. We've got ourselves a hot drop. DX Xavier and Stalwart to kick us off with a little bit of spicy action over on the north side. Anything but paradise here for Lamborghini, turning the corner, Fearless with the Tommy gun, but he's got teammates at his back. Fearless, though, swings the corner, and Nate goes down. Critter traded off, though, and Levi's finds that opening, trying to keep his teammate alive. Octaguri, he's been fearsome so far in these last chance stages, and he's going to continue to rain down hell on DX Xavier to kick it off over in Paradise Resort. Going both ways. Sanchez stands up, looks for the flush and gets it. Levi is caught with a long-range shot on the DPS, and it's Stalwart to win the fight. DX Xavier down first.
DX Xavier, unfortunately, that hot drop worked in their favor last time we saw it come through. This time, not so much. With Stalwart improving a lot over their survival stage, looking really quite strong in terms of that clutch potential. Loops, though, as always, are having a peek over towards this location. 77 taking down Bruno's in. That's from the Vicious.
Yeah, we've seen now 2 hot drops, potential third parties coming on in. Long-range spray down there for Magnum, but they've lost Shifu, trading off with the Vicious. It is just these teams that have lost players now. So Stalwart lost 1. Loops have now looked to move in, you're right, poking their noses in. Move it into Paradise Resort, and they want to take up the mantle. Move in for the fight. See if they can take on Stalwart. With 3 players, a little bit slow on the loot as well, given that they had that early fight. Stalwart a little bit lackluster and very split.
Luckily, Octagui's got some kind of high ground to play around with. Sanchir priming a nade in his hands. Wants to look for additional pickoff, set this into a 3 versus 3, but that first one's not so great. Neil taking some good shots around the corner. Sanchir is down. Not really too much rebuttal over towards Loops here as Stalwart goes down to 2 players.
We've had a real fast start to the last chance stage, and I'm loving it, Blank. Northside circle shift as well means that these teams in Paradise Resort are going to have to figure out how to get towards that bridge. That bridge crossing on the north side is the most important part of this map right now. Voin Donkey ID control Hartin. They control the compound to the south of it as well. Mir and Sejong will line that northern side as well, which makes it a 2-point hold against the rest of the lobby. Everybody who's a little bit slow off the mark going to have to settle for less.
Loop's just going to continue to loot here. No reason not to. Yeah, a fair few of our teams do need to move over towards that northern side. We have a couple of color changes going to this one, so don't be too alarmed. D plus now a nice lime green. Green for good. Green for qualify, potentially, for D plus after they hit a very nice stride over in their survival stage. But they'll be heading in from Cave and Docks. A little bit of a wide swing for them. They'll go past Team Liquid. I don't think they'll have too much trouble doing that.
All right, say less. RCB going to try and careen past Loops. And we'll be able to do so safely. Loops not breaking out fast enough to catch them. Not really reading that that rotation was coming at that point, but actually Falcons might be able to catch it. Seems like RCB, did they have someone fall out of vehicle there? Taking a lot of damage. And I see nearly getting that spray down. RCB happy to get over the ridge.
RCB, another one of our teams that we'll be looking at here as a strong contender. They do take a nasty couple of hits on side. All 3 of their players, other than 1, are down to half HP, but they're in a compound. They should be able to get themselves nice and bandied up. Obviously not really wanting to invest these first aid kits, though, as they only have a few amongst them. Is over towards that north side of the circle, just the south attack mock right now. Major Pride, another very good team who actually went versus DX Xavier and lost the fight, so somewhat less strong, we could say, just by previous matches than DX Xavier, though DX Xavier losing all 4 players on the drop there does not bode well for them.
No, I think that their point scoring capability in this game is going to be severely diminished by that fact that they are not in it anymore. In general, I don't think they're going to get much past 1 on this game, Blank, all things said and done. And it's definitely much more hopeful for Major Pride.
A bold statement, John.
Ooh, wait a minute.
Good shots over towards Major Pride, though. Goodness me, is this all our strong team just going down early?
Could be. Anything can happen. in the last chance stage. Major Pride try and go across the river. Haven't got a point yet, so maybe they won't exceed the points tally for DXavier. We'll have to wait and see. Elementrix, tree to rock, crossing in the undergrowth. Got his gardening gloves out, hoping to prune a couple of the BTR players from up on high, allow the rest of his team to move on through that bridge, or potentially go a little bit further out to the east side.
Yeah, I mean, for BTR, very good result from them over in their stage. Generally quite impressed with them. They do pick up one elim over towards Major Pride. Now down to just 2 players on site, with BTR picking up 2 there. Very good stuff.
Well held. And with Elementrix going down, it may be the Major Pride. Yeah, they're just going to hide it out. I mean, Becker's in the circle here. He can chill for just a little bit. And BTR, I question how long they're going to want to stay here, right? Because sure, you could extract 2 more points from this match if you're able to find these pickoffs, but you're going to lose a lot of time getting close to that bridge on the north side.
I think BTR is not a big issue. Jesus Christ,
You okay?
I'm dying over here, yeah. I don't think it's a huge issue for BTR because moving over towards that north side, there's not really much fun to do anyway. Like, they head up towards Voin Donkey, Incilio, Marin Sejong. They all have a chokehold over towards that bridge crossing. So no matter what happens, BTR is going to be the back of that queue. So they can wait out teams that want to cross over Ruins and Tambang.
Seems like we got a couple of teams hot dropping Plank's vocal cords as well to kick off this game. It is getting messy early on. A cough, a splutter from DXavier, and they will bite the dust early. Plenty more games for them to go, but not as many as maybe they'd like. The Vicious, the remnants of them, moving on up from that south side. BTR take that mountaintop. The circle shift goes out west. Voin Donkey ID have a good chance here to hold out a lot of teams with Incilio on their south flank as well.
Yeah, now BTR can kind of play Camp Alpha. They can play the Northwest Mountain. Both are reasonable picks for them. Looks like that's roughly what they're going to go for here. Up towards the top side of things. And a lot of good scouting done off the back of that. 77, though, on our screens. And a tough time for them down towards Sami. Taking up some of the legacy plays from Nigma Galaxy here.
That old school approach to the game. But at the moment, they're fairly low. I mean, don't want to get too long in the tooth on this rotate. It's going to be treacherous. Falcons over the boot camp cliffs now, potentially going for that water rotate. This is a really difficult position for them to try and move through now. They haven't gone across the river early, which means the Cilia are entrenched. The mountaintop very likely to have oversight on the river swim cross. The trifecta compound as well has crossfire angles on towards it. Meaning the Falcons' approach is really, really tough now. Northeast side, RCB, they're on the coastline. It's not out of the question that they could go for a boat 8. There's no one in Hartin.
Yeah, for RCB, it's probably going to be a case of either getting in a boat or just swimming across towards the north side of Hartin. I think both options are reasonable. Usually crossing by swim is a little bit safer in terms of just keeping yourself out of the action and not making too much noise. And with Hartin completely open, ASA are not inside this lobby. So very, very easy crossing to make for them. Voin Donkey left early down towards that south side. So yeah, I think teams should know on the north side that Hartin is pretty open.
I mean, Voin Donkey, yeah, they really do regroup down to that south edge. But no one's scouting it just yet. I mean, Marin Sejong are such a big roadblock, but they're holding this 2-2 split blank. We'll see if that is going to be tenable against all the pressure that they may feel from teams like Loops, IWNRX. If Team Liquid look to move up there as well, from RCB on that north side and Stalwart, they have a remaining duo on that north edge as well. Marin Sejong in this bold split right now, maybe a little bit weakened by it. I question how long they're going to be able to hold this. It's stage 2, so it's okay for now. But if they hold it all the way through stage 3, I think it might start to get a little messy.
It's all quite messy in the lobby right now, especially with the river that runs right down the center of this circle. It's difficult for teams to make strong decisions going forward. I think a lot of squads would like to be on the Western Island. But like you say, it's just so many teams are cut out doing that. Becca, 6 nades, so should be an easy hold versus Limbo Boom here.
Made over the top. Doesn't quite connect. But Limbo Boom really can't make too much ground here. The forward breakout, and remember 77, they've been using these meds. They've been going through the blue for a long time, and Limbo Boom has to commit to it, has to unleash the nade there. There's D plus Kia get cut down on the crossing. Limbo Boom finally gets that first aid off just in the nick of time, as Becca cooking up another one, cooking up the storm for 77. As they try and sail through it, gets that extra first aid off, and now Becca's at risk, but what's this? It's from the sidelines, it's AZ chiming on in, keeping his teammate nice and safe. Tucking that one back in, up on the stanchions of the bridge, running down the iron girders. And they're going to want to move back up north. The point earned for Major Pride is one step towards that bubble position in 6th.
4MV took a nasty hit there from D+, but were able to find a couple of players on their side as well, so good stuff for 4MV. Very cruel circle where Falcons, honestly, who thought they had really no hope of leaving boot camp, don't have to anymore as this shifts over towards the eastern side, which really hurts the chances of a lot of teams that headed over towards the Northwest Island. For instance, 77, BTR, 4MV, though, do have a decision to make. Do they wrap back round to the cliffs on boot camp, or do they try and play on this compound off towards the north side? I think the safest play would be to move to the north here before another team picks up that location.
IWNRX just sent to the island in the middle of the river, Blank. They are now... you can see them just off in the distance there. They've taken up residency. They have lost a player on their crossing, but they have made it. Teams are aware of this position. Miran Sejong regrouped down to the south, so I'm happy about that. On the north side, RCB have Stalwart to worry about. And Krita makes their presence known. RCB, the inside track is theirs towards the circle. And the stage 3 ends in about a minute. These reses won't be possible. If Stalwart can clip one of them away, they will be able to add it to their tally. They've got 4 elims already, and as the desk talked about, as I've talked about repeatedly as well, it's not always about having these big standout games. It's about raising your floor, raising the low end of your game scoring, which has so much value. If Stalwart can get away from this game with 6 elims, that is a massive result for them on such a brutal hot drop.
Yeah, I think that in the past, getting 4 to 5 eliminations is very, very good. And there is the 5th for Stalwart as Kimmins goes down for RCB. I think there's been a consistent factor that we've all kept reminding the viewers at home. Just getting consistent points is what's going to send you towards the top side of the lobby. Big games are great, and they will save your chances and give you hope, as we saw yesterday. Miran Sejong got that big game to keep themselves in. Team Liquid over towards Falcons, though. This is a very good assault from Team Liquid's side of things. But it has been enabled by the fact that Loops is also harassing Falcons' position.
Loops in the trenches now of boot camp. Nades raining down upon them. Finally, we do go for that hard northwest shift. And Encilio, Voidonki ID, very happy about this one. RCB probably going to have a decent opportunity to move to at least the buildings around it. But this boot camp fight still needs to conclude for Falcons to get away. And hang on a minute, Loops have managed to find an opening. They have lost one down low, but they've put Nino up on high. Getting one player down for the Falcons is going to allow them to start to rotate around. They can get ahead of the Falcons on this crossing.
Yeah, for the Falcons, it just went bad to worse. I mean, the off angles coming through from Team Liquid. Luke's been able to find something off the back of it. It's down to Icy and East. I don't think this pair is bad at all. It's just a 2v4 here. Luckily, a lot of the sightlines are a little bit funky here in boot camp, so you might be able to get a couple of pickoffs to 1v1, essentially. 4MV, though, very good work down this south side. Insane stuff from them as they find a few players from Team Liquid and secure a position, more importantly, down towards the southeast side of this circle. It's been a good game so far from 4MV.
They have extracted value from that south edge. And it's that same story. Getting those eliminations, sure, not great in terms of position to win, but in terms of grinding out the points, squeezing the juice from the lobby, that's exactly what you need to be doing here. Miran Sejong find the spray down, and Hoxie gets both of them. Very nice pickup there for South Korea.
Yeah, for Miran Sejong up to 3 elims. on the northeast side. It's a little bit more difficult for them to make it in, though. So realistically, then it's going to be more about eliminations and that heavy in there. Loops finding one, but Apex with a great off angle will pick up one of the players from Loops. Delays them, allows 4MV to get back up to full strength. Team Liquid, they still have Cardozo in the wings here.
Doc with the oversight. Move towards the crossing. Loops. I mean, that may be a resible player there if they can crawl fast enough, but the blue zone's pushing. No, it's in zone 4. Definitely not going to be able to get that one done. And there's the high ground spotted. That's D plus Kia who've been able to make that one work for them. How on earth did he manage to land that? Okay, Ocel's all the way on the southwest side, approaching on the land. 4MV still holding this rotate out, but there are players nearby, like you were highlighting before. Cardozo behind Doc. Maybe able to step up. Falcons finally across, but diminished severely in their capabilities. Osal doing work, and again, just keeping D plus Kia afloat now with 4 eliminations.
Yeah, for D+, they really have no right at getting 4 elims in this match, but Osal once again chiming in. Falcons, 4MV, Team Liquid all tightly knit together here, with Loops going down, not able to get too much further into this match. Sejong make a swim, find a couple of players from IWNRX, and now can move forward.
And with this circle, Incilio make the incredibly intelligent decision to get the circle shift. I always find whenever I do that, works out very, very well. May do the same here for Incilio. But more often, I feel like more often than not, in the final circles, when we have a team in a central compound like this, it turns from gift to curse as you do get trapped onto the inside, as long as it shifts away from that compound, right? If it puts you on the edge when you're in that compound, in stage 7, stage 8, that's where it gets nasty. But if it goes slap bang in the middle of the compound, you're free and clear. Second place guarantee, though, you'll take that.
Yeah, for Incilio in this kind of position, it's a lot of open area around those compounds. So I think for Incilio, realistically, it should just be a chicken dinner. I don't think there's really much contest saying that. Unless Voindonkey can make a crazy rotate and crash from the north side. But that's also easily defended against by Incilio. So this should be an Incilio win. And going off the back of survival stage where Incilio actually surprised a lot of us and impressed a lot of us, I'd be happy to see them get the first chicken dinner of Last Chance. But it is a couple of other teams who are desperately clawing on here to stay within reach. This is one of the few games where we see 6-5, 4-4, 3-3, 2-2-2. Tons of eliminations all spread across the entirety of the lobby. No one's letting up here.
Yeah, this is what happens when you get these river crossing circles on Sandhawk. People are taking shots at each other left and right, and there are only 2 4-player teams. And surprise, surprise, it's the 2 teams that have been here from the start. Voindonkey ID and Incilio. Everybody else on their maneuvers has been bleeding, as BTR seem to be the next under pressure. 4MV, they've got a lot to prove in this last chance stage blank, but they're doing so well. Doc specifically was that weak point that we were highlighting before, who seems to have maybe calmed down a little bit, stepped back into the role of a team player, and they'll hope to try and continue it. They still have to prove it that they can play as 4, because they are only as a duo right now, despite their approach from that south side being fairly strong. They have lost 2 of their players.
All things considered for 4MV, I think there has been a mental reset going through from survival stage into this, especially in their group stage. They look a lot better in terms of the eliminations they were able to put up as well. And they did securely finish over on day 2. 68 points is definitely ahead of some of our teams that qualified yesterday from survival stage in 16th place. So I think for 4MV, there is a shift going on here. And the rotates they made on the western side were really good, and saw the ones I expected as well. I mean, they could have opted to head over towards the eastern side. They knew it wouldn't work. They had opportunity. They quickly scouted over towards the north side. They picked up that position. Still, the circle moved away, but didn't really matter. They're still playing fantastically well just to keep themselves alive. Falcons push up. They will find Apex, though, and Doc almost gets a clap back. But good shots from East and Icy, but it will be Cardozo, who has been waiting in the grass for such a long time, will get himself a guaranteed 4th place off the back of that backstab.
But Falcons still at that millstone, grinding out 6 points on the game. It's not all done and dusted for them. Voindonkey ID from the north side they need a lot more value out of this, right? They held that northern side bridge. They've only found one Elim so far. They've lost Razor, sure, but now they've managed to move down. A top 4, this is good news. They've started to add up on those placement points, but you really want to be seeing 7, 8, 9 points minimum out of a game like this for Void Donkey ID. I believe they can do it. I think the Vicious have a really tough time, and Cardozen as a solo should be going down next.
Yeah, second place for Void Donkey would be ideal. The circle shifting over towards the western side, though, it really cuts out that opportunity. Basically, they need to find Cardozen and then play down towards the ridge on the south side. That's their main option. Vexy takes the vehicle on through, and Zilio attempts to finish that one up for eliminations found. The Vicious, though, getting themselves that shift on the circle, that little ridge side over towards the west does keep them safe for a little while. But Raze, if he's going to peek his head out like that, definitely should have the helmet ripped off.
Void Donkey ID, the roll-up. Cardozen! 1v3? Are you kidding me? Team Liquid! They find a lifeline in Cardozen, and Void Donkey have it all snatched away. That is a crazy roll-up from the solo player from South America.
I really, really hope that doesn't kill the mental game on Void Donkey, because they've had such an improvement. But what a ridiculous spray down from Cardozen. That is a double surprise attack coming through from this guy in 2 short few minutes away from one another. Damn, that's crazy stuff. Vicious now with Diminor as well as Raze likely to go down as they try and wrap around. Will Cardozen find even more off the back of this game? Gets one. Now looks for Diminor as well, but there is shots coming through and Cardozen has to back down.
Team Liquid have a lifeline in Cardozen. Incilio should be able to close this down. All rights to them on that northern side. As finally the Vicious are out and Team Liquid have a second place on this game. That is nuts. What a play from Cardozen. Incilio do close it down. They have that central compound and it is a great start for them. But my God, what happened to Void Donkey there?
It truly is unacceptable, honestly. That's why I really hope that doesn't hurt Void Donkey's chances, because that sort of play is one where you look back and like, we really messed up. And you never want to mess up on map 1.
But one man who did mess up, Cardozen. My lord, if we're talking about salvaging a day, he just salvaged last chance for them here, getting way more points than any solo player ever should have here, gentlemen. Hot Jukes and Max join me once again on the desk here. I'm Jason Kaplan. But damn, I mean, we're obviously in CeeLo getting the win here, but my eyes and my heart is all about Cardozen here, Hot Jukes.
Dude, it's not just damn, it's hot damn, dude. Let's go, baby. 1v3 action. This is the last chance start I wanted to see, man. You can tell everybody is not messing around right here. I mean, if you just don't check that one bush, if you ain't careful, your whole squad's getting wiped. And Void Donkey learned it the hard way.
It's Sanok. It's Sanok, Hot Jukes. Every bush could be an enemy, okay?
Right.
Every little bit of grass could be trying to take shots at you with a bloody M4. And in this case, it was an M4 and a DBS, which is not quite great to get into. But here we go. We had that question at the start of the day, Jason, on the desk asking, are we going to see a continuation of the performance of Incilio? Of course, they're also given kind of a decent circle here, but they know how the circles tend to move around Sanok pretty well. We're just going to hug the eastern coast of Northwest Island. A lot of circles end up around this area. We're going to send it early and just bunker down and then hope for the best, and it rewards them with a win, which, to be honest, to get a win when you have 12 matches done like this, that could be really impactful later on down the line.
And yeah, I mean, obviously in CeeLo, we're there since like zone 2, but a great read on the zone. And I mean, it was very tough as well. We were looking at like, oh man, this kind of like 50-50 stuff is really rough, especially when it comes to our first match here. But one thing we can't forget about, obviously we're very focused on the end of the game, but let's talk about the start of the game. Xavier and Stalwart.
Can't believe it, man. I mean, like I saw... I got a good idea that this was gonna happen, and yep, it definitely did. And I'm super shocked because Paradise is so big. You can split loot it without an issue, you know. And with 12 matches, your whole year's worth of work, risking it on just a silly hot drop, it blows my mind, especially for these big names, Max.
Yeah, I'm shocked, to be honest, that happened. You know what? I think that teams are starting to understand this is to be completely brutally honest, a stupid hot drop that's happening. Yeah. Loops are like, well, you know what? We're just gonna third party the fight. Like literally as phase 1 starts to close, we're just going to wrap around the eastern side. We're going to wait for the shots to like kind of slow down a little bit and for it to get quiet and see the knocks pop up in the elimination feed, and that's when we strike. And that's what they did. They got 1 elimination or 2, I believe, in that fight, and they have a little bit of an easier transition point because they do clear a large portion of Paradise Resort in the process. So it was a good play. That replay though of Cardozo, I cannot believe it.
Obrigado.
One magazine.
Obrigado.
Great transfers on all 3 of them, and he says, "Obrigado. See you back in the lobby. Let's go." Yeah. That's what that's what I had.
Dude, unbelievable. I can't believe, I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I have Falcons learned it the hard way. I mean, and all of a sudden Voin Donkey did as well. Look at
11
that.
points, bro. Second overall in that match from basically one player from Cardozo just staying alive. My lord.
I mean, it's such a short, I don't know how many times I'm going to say this. It's such a short format that this one game could be the difference maker, right? That one little play from Cardozo. I'm not going to say it's not a little play, huge play, right? And this is how we're starting off. And I can't wait to see how the rest of these matches are going to go.
Actually, I want to bring up one topic, and I think it's something you were talking about, Hodrix, during this game. We had this weird standoff happening in boot camp between the side of Falcons and Loops, and you said, right, about Loops having to leave that fight because they were losing a lot of time. Sure, they don't survive, but I think Loops here had a really good understanding of not only the hot drop in Paradise, but also how to deal with that boot camp Falcon situation.
Yeah, I mean, Loops, they did have that good understanding, and it's unfortunate. They got 3 total points, but they were being active, and that's what I like to see, right? Because Loops was that one team I was afraid that was going to really just come in here a little weak, watching how they finished it out yesterday, but I think they did do that homework. They said, don't judge us on our last game, judge us on what we're going to be able to do. So, I mean, yeah, not a gift-wrapped circle like, you know, Encilio got, but they still worked hard for it.
Just kind of crazy to see. Like every single team got points, and it was so elim heavy this entire life. Obviously, when you go to Senhawk, of course, it's going to be that way as well. But I mean, even Xavier still managed to get 1 point for themselves. But as you know, we heard earlier on from John, you're looking at, if you want to be top 6, about an 8 point per game average. What's up? 620 damage from Westron?
No, how is he MVP?
I think what we've realized is from the winning team. Yeah,
I guess so. It's just
I feel like at one point it wasn't always the winning team, but I feel like we went back to always the winning team. So he's going to be the MVP of Encilio, but our MVP, we know who the true MVP is, gentlemen.
Yeah, come on. Well, let's not beat around the bush, okay? It's Cardozo. He is the bush. He became the bush that game. But it was such a good match, yeah. And no, if they do qualify Team Liquid in top 6, they're like, no, I qualified. It was me, Cardozo. Made it through to London. But no, we had a lot of interesting fights this game. I think that, I don't know how you're thinking here of the 4MV split on Trifecta Hodrix. I think it was a way too stretched on that position. I think that 1 player north, 2 players to the east, and 1 player southwest of Trifecta, and D plus Kia comes in, and they lose 1 player off the back of that. It is good to hold off teams in Trifecta. I think they were holding off D plus Kia and maybe 77 at some point. They're just trying to push them away. But it's such a big split that you are at risk of, if a player gets knocked, your chances of getting that res on a 4MV player is extremely low at that point.
Yeah, I think anybody who's like watched any of these stages at all understand that D plus Kia love to do the strategy, right? They rotate from docks, they wait for like circle 3 to pop, and they're just waiting on that south side to see where the zone goes, and they rotate on in. So yeah, these teams, they know that's happening. They want to shut them down, so they waited it out and were able to gatekeep them. And speaking of gatekeeping, another one that we saw, Jason, earlier on was BTR, right? BTR with a nice little gatekeep on Major Pride. They needed those points, and they got some of them.
I mean, Major Pride, I mean, that's another team we could easily talk about here if we're talking about teams who stepped up over the course of PMGC. In my eyes, it's about whether or not they're able to maintain that kind of performance as we get through, of course, our last chance. But in the meantime, Random Kaya, bro, another team who's massively stepped up, I hear is going to be on stage with 7 for a quick little interview.
Welcome back to a quick interview with the 7WG, and I'm joined alongside none other than Silas from Regnum Karya, bruh. Let's talk about survival stage real quick as we're going to be going into Erangel. You guys did end up doing really good on day 1 of your survival stage. On day 2, though, you guys struggled in Erangel. What happened?
Valla şimdi Survival'ın ilk gününde Erengel'de çok iyi oynadınız. İkinci günde biraz yavaşlama gördük. Neden?
Yani ilk gün garantilediğimiz için ilk 3 maçtan sonra ikinci günü çok fazla ciddiye almadık. Sadece son maç işte biraz ciddi oynayabildik, o kadar.
Well, because we already guaranteed the last chance, so we didn't take it seriously on the second day. That's the answer.
Taking a bit of a breather. Okay, I see what you're doing there. Now, in the next 2 days, we're only going to have 12 matches here in Last Chance, especially for Erangel. Who do you think is going to be your biggest challenge?
Valla son 2 günde Last Chance'in 12 maçımız kaldı. Grand finale. Bu 2 gün için hangi takım sizi zorlukla çıkarabilir?
Yani DX'in DX, DK, Nextria, 4MV. Yani buradaki bütün takımların hepsi güçlü aslında. Hepsi zorluk çıkarabilir bize. Yani sonuçta dünya şampiyonası burası. Bütün takımlar zorluk çıkaracaktır diye düşünüyorum.
Okay, the DX, Nextria, DK, and actually all the players have they are good player. Or everybody can be a problem for us, but that's only now.
All right, well, this is why this is considered the group of death. Thank you so much, Silas. Back to you guys.
Honestly, I feel like if you gave him more time, he probably would have just ended up saying every team is going to be the team that they have to watch out for here. I mean, Xavier, he pointed them out. I think this was recorded probably before the first match was done, but like after watching that, I don't know if Xavier's ever really going to be a threat if they don't adapt. I mean, honestly, to be fair, we're kind of focused on them because they lost the hot drop. If Stalwart lost the hot drop, we'd probably be, screaming at Stalwart. But to be honest, both those teams shouldn't be hot dropping, period, especially when that's 1 out of your 12 matches now done.
Yeah. No, I would be fine with Stalwart because it's Stalwart, Jason. I mean, we've done CSA.
Oh my God.
Jason, do we expect
Brutal
Stalwart to leave a hot drop?
Man,
no.
I remember watching IHC drop against 52 on the Northwest Island back in the first season of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And IHC lost a majority of those drops, and they kept dropping. But yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised.
They're not giving it up. It's on Xavier to change it. Just like we saw FaZe do it, right, in the survival stage versus Stalwart in Picado. Same thing. That, of course, they didn't qualify, unfortunately, but like, I think the Stalwart will never have the intention of moving it. But it's fine. We're going on to Erangel now. No, a little bit of a reset. And Xavier, typically on Erangel, Hot Jukes, they are just an absolute beast of a team, and this is where a lot of the teams, it's their bread and butter. This is going to be where they're going to get a majority of their points, so this is where they need to bring their A game if they want to have a chance for the top 6.
Yeah, they definitely need to bounce back, that's for sure. I mean, a good couple chicken dinners will definitely weight off all of the worries that you have, but it's going to be difficult because, I mean, you heard it there from Silas, right? You would have listed all the teams if you could, all the players, their subs at this point. You never know what's going to happen. So, I mean, when it comes to Xavier, they got to bounce back strong in this match right here, right now.
So is there any teams in particular that we're going to be focused on as we head into Erangel here? Obviously, again, the groups have slightly changed from the last couple of days, since now it's just a standard 16 teams. Is there any certain teams in particular looking at, whether it comes to points, as you mentioned before, Max, or is it when it comes to rotations or potential clashes anywhere?
I think there's one that Hodrix brought up when we were watching this past game on Sanok going into Erangel here. We might have BTR versus Voin going in Promos because, of course, as we know, Vampire's not here anymore, so that spot is open. But I'm surprised that was not kind of resolved here going into the last chance, Hodrix, because that is a drop that can really hint their chances, especially on Erangel, right, to make in top 6. That's a horrible map to have it go down on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, I'm really worried about Bigatron because, they're giving up Milta, and that was their bread and butter drop spot on Erangel. Yeah. So like now they're going to have to deal with some brothers of Voin Donkey here, as you can see them, because Primorsk is big enough to share, right? So I'm not too worried about it. They do have their secondary drop locations. Bigatron's going to take Severny, and Voin Donkey's going to take Kameshki in the north side. So the only time I see that hot drop happening is if we see like a real southern playing path where they kind of have no choice. And but at the end of the day, it's going to just make things tougher for them rotation wise. So I really want to see if they're able to kind of get that fixed and settled in match number 1.
Well, we do only have a few seconds left as we head into this match. Now, we haven't really done predictions over the course of this entire event, but I do want to ask for some predictions as we head into our first Erangel. Who do you think's taking this first chicken dinner, Jukes?
I'm going to go with Xavier. They land Pachinki, dead center. They need it.
All right. What about you, Maxman?
I'm going to go IWNRX. They've been way too silent, even during the survival stage, Jason. They need to do something, and it's going to happen this match.
All right, well, IWNRX probably not winning now since Mac. Actually, to be fair, your curse hasn't really been relevant this event. Let's actually head into our first Erangel. And you guys, of course, to the chat. Let us know who you think's going to take the first chicken dinner on Erangel, as John Allen and Blank will take us in.
I can't believe that Jason called Maxman irrelevant just there. You're relevant to me, Max. Don't worry. I got your back, buddy. We're going to be hopping on into our first Erangel. of the last chance stage. It's going from Novo up towards the gap between Severny and Stalbo.
Indeed. I thought he said that his curse was irrelevant because he's not been cursing anyone. He's been a good boy. Am I right? Hello.
Okay, I can hear you now. All right.
Yeah, I was going to say that I thought he said that Max's curse was irrelevant. Oh, that he was irrelevant.
No.
He's a
For
good
sure.
boy now.
No, Jason 100% said Max was irrelevant, and that's very mean of him. You know, very, very mean.
That's right. You said that you would drink 4 eggs at PMGC, John. We applaud you for
I
that.
don't think that happened, actually. I think you're making things up. I think you're doing fibs.
That's right. I thought we were doing fibs.
Oh, okay, fair enough. IWNRX.
I thought that was the bit.
Oh, no, that was the bit, actually. No, you're right. No, I cancelled the bit and then forgot that I cancelled the bit. On the west side, IWNRX may have a little bit of trouble, so has Maxman's curse come back to roost, or is it the Hot Juice curse? Because DXavier are the team to go with them.
DXavier struggling off that last match a little bit versus Stalwart. This time around, they're going to be trying to get some more points on the board because I think they're one of the few teams that really did not get anything done. IWNRX, Max is calling them out, saying they're a little bit quiet, and I agree, they were definitely quiet. There's certainly more to be done for IWNRX, and they looked like they were doing a lot better towards the last portion of the survival stage. I do think for IWNRX, though, that play that they made over towards the item wasn't bad, but then they evaporated Sandhawk, and I wasn't exactly sure what happened there. But yeah, no one really pulling ahead. However, we will have a little interview with Seven, and it is going to be about Stalwart.
Welcome to a quick report with the 7WG. This one's going to be in regards to STE. They were able to hot drop DX successfully. I got a chance to talk to their players, and they were expecting to do that hot drop there. They did mention that they're not going to have to worry about any more hot drops. In the previous stage, they were having to hot drop with FaZe. Now that FaZe is not here, they don't have to worry about it. We'll see if they will hot drop again tomorrow in Sandhawk.
Well, they're only going to have one chance to do it as well, but it's something that we thought maybe we could see, and the fact that we did, a little bit of a treat for us. Ooh, Shifu. Long range over towards Mirren Sejong. Foxy clipped out the back of the buggy. Maybe a rundown as he does get the flush and he wants more. Hasn't got too much ammo left, though. Only 10 rounds in the back chamber. 11. Now they're all loaded into the magazine. Getting that loot crate on, though. That tops him up plenty.
Yeah, I think for Mirren Sejong, this has been a classic for them over survival stage, losing one player extremely early. It looks like that they prepared very well coming into last chance by resubbing in JSUG once again. So Uriel was put in for his big debut. Uriel's big day out, and it was cut short very quickly.
Not looking
back in the house.
Angelic on that one. It was definitely quite devilish for him. He's back in. He's been exercised from their team for the time being. And I mean, it is probably one of the most questionable coaching and management decisions we've seen, I think, during this tournament. We get a little replay on Shifu. Definitely not questionable on that one. Able to get the tag onto Hoxie. And then the pickup on the buggy to get him to roll over to catch more is excellent. Really nice stuff.
I respect the fact that they took him back out again, though.
Yeah.
Same day.
That's probably one of the least questionable management decisions.
They were like, this is not working. We're sorry, Uriel. You're out. And that's kind of hard to do, especially when you give a player a chance. And then you have to be like, look, man, it's not going well. So back on the bench for you.
You know, if they're going to go to PMGC, they need to have a ready sub to be able to bring if things go pear-shaped. But it was, in general, a terrible plan. Didn't work out too well for them. Top 6 teams we've got currently. A lineup that I think maybe has 1 or 2 teams that people would have predicted before this survival stage. 4MV and Falcons, probably 2 teams that were in the conversation. Within Cilio's final days, you might have added them in as well. But I think overall, It's a little bit unexpected in terms of the top 6, but this is only off one game and a difficult rotational game at that. Silas, under pressure. I wonder if he's worried about these players from the Vicious.
That was a nice shot from Diminor. Will pop him out and Silas goes down. This is not great news for RCB. We know in the past that basically Silas has been the driving factor for that team. So now they're without a wheel in the vehicle. They're just careening off into the distance. So we'll see what they can do without their driver. For loops over towards the south side of Yasnaya, they can move down, but last game I felt like there was a lot of opportunities afforded to loops and they just weren't able to get anything off the back of it. Over towards Paris Resort, then down, being able to maybe take a fight with Falcons, not Soul anymore at least. And even that was helped out by Team Liquid. So yeah, for loops it was a unfortunate one. And this is the team that got in by the skin of their teeth, John.
It's not the best way to get in, but it is a way. And you'll take it. It's the only thing available to you. 77, going up the hill. See DXavier go, whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, hang on, I didn't mean it. Backing up. 77 back down the hill. A little bit closer to the apartments, but they're only backing up to give Shifu the range he needs to unleash hell upon them. Paragin goes down first. This is potentially resable. It depends on how fast 77 are to push up to this location. They could drop some nades. Shifu hitting the tree there actually could be quite important. The slow on the roll-up, because he's handled it. Off on the outliers there. They're finding more openings, and DXavier, a shadow of their former selves right now. This is the second time they've taken early fights. A hot drop, sure, you can excuse, but a roll-up like this, not protected against, losing 2. This is disaster.
Very little W moment for DXavier right now. I kind of feel bad for him, honestly. Going down to 2 players already. 2 games in a row where they're getting minimal points off the back of it. They need to get a significant result. I think that Molotov should burn him out. Yep, Zadira takes him down. Now just Levi's left remaining. A strong player, but as a solo, I don't know how much more benefit that's going to be for DXavier. I think a lot of people assumed DXavier would have a very strong result going into the last chance. Whoa! Okay.
That goes the way of Major Pride, who have moved in from the south. IWNRX are peeking in from the north, and for the second time in a row, the first place team from the survival stage goes out first.
Losing 2 of your matches, honestly, John, I don't want to call it too early, but like losing 2 of your matches, you only have 10 left. But 2 matches to get into a top 6 actually is really important. Going out on both those games on 1 point and 0 point, that's even more dangerous. So for DXavier, they pretty much need to have pretty damn strong games for the rest of the day to be in a nice position going into tomorrow.
We were looking... Sorry, you go.
Oh, so I was just going to say, like, that little bit there, losing both those games really poorly stunts you so badly.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the thing, right? Before top 16, we were looking at around a 60-point bubble. It ended up being, I think, towards 55, I think, was the bubble spot there, on a tiebreaker as well. Pretty nasty stuff. Zuxi, is it going to be okay? He's got friends. They got to circle around. Doesn't need it, though. Just head right in there. Anyway, 60 points was around the bubble for the survival stage. But in this last chance, that bubble pushes up to around the 80-point mark. There is a bit of volatility there. But in general, we were thinking of a 60-point tournament being 4 to 5 solid games. Now you're looking at needing 7 to 8 solid games. And in a 12-match set, it is really, really tough. So I find that when you take the first 2 out of them. From here on out, it does need to be a flawless run from DXavier.
It's an 8-point average. And to be honest with you, we look at some strong teams who get first place, who D plus Kia from survival stage. What was that, like a 9-point something average? Very not on the high end of the 9 points either. For DXavier, they need to profit 1 less than that. But that was still a team that dropped into 2nd place, by the way, in survival stage. So yeah, for DXavier, it is a bit of a tall task for him. RCB, though, up against the Vicious. assaulting this location. They were able to take shots over towards RCB earlier on as they made it the way over towards Alamo. This is a defensible location, but Kimmers basically needs to get a knock off the rip here. Oh, thank the Lord, I was going to say.
Traded off, though. 1-for-1 right now. RCB still looking to make this corner work, but the Vicious, they're doing bits for survival.
Oh, that's so sad.
The first aid went through there. That is really not great, but RCB do still force another heal to come on through. Wild puts another nade in the same corner, but he's out of there fast. RCB have lost one. The Vicious, second place on the tables right now. They got a third place on that last match. They have now got the north side of this compound fully under control. RCB pinned into one of the corner buildings. The nade goes high over the side there. That's not going to catch.
Yeah, hella unfortunate for RCB. The first nade taking a fellow down to 10%. They managed to at least get the DBS off from the back of it. That's a nice Molotov. But also, the second nade not quite clipping after the first aid kit. That could have been easy 2 knocks, and then that was very workable for RCB. Super unfortunate how that all breaks down.
The spray downs, the overwhelming surround for the Vicious. And RCB, they're out of it. 15th place, no points on the game.
One apiece there. Every single play on the Vicious. But yeah, that could have been a very different story. I genuinely think RCB gets very unlucky on those nades. But the Vicious do overwhelm them, and you pretty much have a minute grace period inside of Alamo, especially on the defending team, to get a couple of those initial knocks, and they just were not prepared for the Vicious moving in. So it's a good pickup from the Vicious. Get themselves into position nice and early. That sets them on 14 points alongside with Incilio, who are not the two teams I was expecting to be holding first and second place, but there you go. Mongolia having a good representation so far with the Falcons and 4MV.
4MV's approach to that south side is probably the most impressive part of what I saw on Sandhawk. Okay, not the most impressive part. That was obviously the 1v3 from Team Liquid doing so much work. But in general, I think 4MV's approach to that game was smart. They played that south side. They held out around that trifecta, and they realized we're not going to win this one. We're just going to get the points for this game. And that's what I'm talking about. In terms of those averages, that is going to do wonders for them. They might have just tried to send in, lose 2 or 3 players, got 1 elimination and 2 placement points. It would have been a 3-point match.
No.
Right? And you got 5 more points out of that. Oh, I don't really want to talk about it, but that was really nasty. Doc looking to repair this. Baron down on the off-flyer. Incilio coming off of a chicken dinner. They got to be feeling themselves a little bit, even if it was helped by the circle. Doc nearly down, and the nade is the one to do it. Westron with a second knock over towards 4MV. And they need to pick up the pieces fast. I was just praising them, and maybe I shouldn't have done.
That nade might take down Doc from his own team. Reapers looking to keep themselves alive. They still haven't even got Baron back up on his feet here, and some good shots from Redlick down towards the tree line. That's Westron finding Reefus, leaving 4MV with just the 1 player. I think that they should have dipped. I do think they should have dipped there. I don't think it was worth it taking this fight, especially when you already know a team is up towards Lumberyard already. They have that high ground approach against you. I think Doc forces a fight that really didn't need to be forced. Frustrating stuff there for 4MV. Maybe they can get one off the back here, but it's highly doubtful. No. 4MV down in 14th. Yeah, I genuinely think that this is a big problem that 4MV has. A lot of times is one player will go down and they're like, oh, we have to fight now. It's like, no. You realize this game can be played as 3. You don't always have to have 4 players. Yes, if you want to have ginormous games, but if you just want to get 5 to 6 eliminations, be fine. And again, you have to look at your own point scoring as well on these matches. They got 8 on that last match. Realistically, you did fairly well. Now you just need to salvage, be that 3 to 4 eliminations on this game. Maybe a 6th or 5th place would be fantastic. And that would have been fairly simple to do from the position that they were in as 3 players. It's so annoying.
I mean, this is the thing, right? We talk so much about game-winning plays, about plays that put you in a great position to win the match, to get to those final circles. And in general, I mean, we've been highlighting it a lot more here at this PMGC, but we don't really focus on the points earning games, which is really what you want. Chicken dinners, sure, they're a tiebreaker, but if you're already out earning on points, you don't need that tiebreaker. And I think that more teams need to be putting that approach into their playbook. And sure, you do need the capability to take those chicken dinners opportunities when they're presented to you. That will really pump those numbers. But it is all about getting consistent points, and points is the only way that you qualify towards these top 6 positions. D+ Kia wanting to rack up a couple against the Vicious, but they've been on the warpath so far, not looking to slow down now. A nade over the top, though, may give them cause for concern.
Stalwart going off over towards BTR at the moment. Bruno's in down. D+, who had a very nice run of it over in their Savate stage, should find Bruno's. You know, he's still alive, by the way.
He got that first aid. He got the first aid off. He was super low, but managed to heal just in time for the nade not to quite explode him. Not going to seemingly matter, though, because the roll down just continues, and a really nice approach there. Staying alive. The Vicious do go down, and D+ Kia keep themselves in it. The Falcons on the southwest side now with 77 to handle, but Shifu, again, that long-range assassin, making it work for him.
I mean, he's knocked, so not great. Falcons will push on forwards. They take down more of 77. And it will just be one last player alive. There's Zadira off in the distance. And Shifu not doing too much for the team.
Ooh! Does get knocked, but does find the flush onto action. So a point added. The 77 Zadira. I mean, this is what 4MV should have done. Run away. This is exactly what they should have been able to pull out the bag for 77. He'll try and survive, get a couple of placements, maybe pick off a cheeky point or two. Stalwart, D+ Kia crashing on the northeast side with Loops on the north edge of it, and Incilio on the south. They are penned into this scrap.
Point Donkey again. Vexy is such a criminal with the Mini 14. Start calling that thing the Maxi 14 with the way he uses it. It's crazy stuff. Chips, last player up against Loops here, is not able to do it. And D+ will go out with 5 points total. And 77 are able to get themselves back up. But there's more shots coming down the hill there from Incilio, like you say, who just came off of a very good fight with 4MV. Westron with all the eliminations in the pocket.
He was doing so much work against them. The nades rolling downhill and attacking their target. Incilio on a 3-1 split right now. You can see they've got that south outpost, and with this circle shift going hard southwest, that's going to help. The wide 2-2 split for Major Pride, it looks like they want to regroup. Depends which side, though. I wonder if they're going to go to that west side or to that east. I'd imagine you go back out to the east. The majority of the circle sits on the east side of the road, even as it stands now. And it'll give you more opportunity. Not having to cross that road, always a good thing.
Does he want to hold it like on a split here? I mean, AZ was left behind, but doing fantastically well versus Falcons. Might request backup there from Becca. I mean, for Major Pride, actually holding this four-way down towards the south side is not a terrible idea, considering the circle shifts hard down towards the south. They have a good understanding that they control the entirety of this area, so having a lineup, getting a ton of information, and then just roaming to where they need to be. Smart choice. It's a smart decision. I do really like it, and I think it's a good thing that Evo Station and Elementrix are on the other side of the road, like you were saying, John, so they have info if a team comes through on the east.
Loops were having a tough time of it. They managed to get out with 2, make that 1. The countdown is on from Incilio. Raining down hell upon them. 7 points found on the game, and this is an excellent way to convert off of a chicken dinner. Finding 17 points on a match, that's the outlier, but now they've put up a brilliant average result. 8 points found, and that, again, is just going to keep them going, keep them chugging along. And right now, they are the most impressive team in the lobby. In terms of those point scorings, the first game, they got the circle. This time, not so much, but they're playing it smart again. And it's something we praised Incilio for repeatedly, is their macro approach to these circles. They may not stand up in terms of that minutia mechanical skill in those firefights, but I mean, Westron proved it. They do have the chops to take those fights, even if they can get outclassed sometimes. It's still maybe 40% of the time that they're winning, but they're giving themselves so many more opportunities than other teams.
Yeah, I mean, that mechanical skill actually has elevated a lot over the past few days. I was surprised to see it. I think that, it's what I will keep referring to is that it's a team that there's nothing extremely special about them. Like, there's no player that you say, that guy is crazy on that squad, or this specific thing that they do, like Mir and Sejong with their 2-2 split, is massively fantastic. But it is just good, clean PUBG Mobile gameplay that you like to see. And I think that in terms of their mechanical skill, I would be happy to say that, they are now on par with a lot of other squads. I don't know. And this just happened a lot during PMGC groups, is a team that was a relative unknown or a little bit less of a strong factor coming into it will suddenly have a huge step up because they'll have had so much good experience against these squads. And for a team that's getting deep into every single lobby, they have now hours of practice against the best teams in the world. And that can really send a team to the moon.
I mean, you're seeing it here. They've managed to keep a hold of that position down to the south. They're aware that the compound beneath them is held and unlikely to be pushed out of, and they still have a lot of control over this eastern hill. Unfortunately, now the circle moves away, and they are going to have to go down into the pit, taking on the fight, but they've already got the value from this game that they need, so they can just take this risk free and clear. A big move from Voin Donkey ID. Look at that shift. They were playing all the way out to the east side near IWNRX, and they have just moved up to the roadside. This is dangerous. They might take too much damage for this. Team Liquid on the north, they have to move too, but if they have that side swipe, they'll take the shots.
It's good understanding the circle. There is a small divot to play in that spot. You do need a lot of smokes to make it work, but maybe the rotate slightly early. Maybe they thought that this was the only time they could make it happen. But dropping around shelter is always a very curious position to play with all these bunkers that sit around it. But they are cut out, actually. And you can see here, it is really a small divot. But there's Vexy again on the Maxi 14, making it happen.
Goodness me. The hills are alive with the sound of 556 right now as Vexy keeps laying down the law and Major Bride can't stand up.
You know what we need?
Me. What do we need?
We need a Vexy Mini 14 skin after this PMGC. Absolutely. This guy has made the weapon his own. So cool. Really big fan so far of Vexy from Voin Donkey. Again, it's not easy to do, and with such a shotgun meta in play, the fact there's a player here on a Wrangle, as well as sometimes on Sandhawk, that uses the DMR so frequently, it's really interesting. And so successfully too. I think that's the important point to make.
And he goes again over towards Major Pride. The flush goes over towards Zeta, sure, but Vexy just landing these knocks so frequently. It's the smokes either side of him that are allowing him to step up here. They have that little ridge line in front of them, but if they step up, they're exposed to the side flanks. They're keeping those smokes topped up. They are going to burn quite a lot of resources, but they are getting a lot of reward for it. 4 elims found from this roadside position, and we were hoping that that last result against Team Liquid's against the roll-up to Team Liquid, to the solo player, wasn't going to bear too hard on their mental. Maybe they're able to keep that fortitude going. And credit to the team, credit to Coach Defi as well, to be able to keep them together on a difficult situation like that.
Yeah, well, we know that Defi studies this game so much, and he is a very smart fellow. And this is the type of smart play that you imagine is in coordination with Defi. Like, this is one of the few scenarios where you see this kind of play, and it's very impressive. You don't see a lot of PUBG Mobile teams make this kind of call, make this kind of move, because yes, they are burning through resources to do this, but then what are resources for in the first place? This is very cool from Voin Donkey. You don't see a lot of plays like this in PUBG Mobile, and they are making it work specifically because they do have players with a lot of long-range potential. You don't just get good on the Mini 14 overnight. This is the player that has been specifically chosen for his long-range prowess. I love Voin Donkey ID as a team, and I genuinely think that the counts should be going through to PMGC Grand Finals.
There's certainly a possibility. They, by rights, should have had more points from that last match, but
that's nasty.
To be. That's a nasty name, but it doesn't find the knock. Instead, it's Zedwolf. Okay, he's got a Mini 14 too. We get it, Zedwolf. Come on. It's not all Vexy. Okay, you're still pretty good as well. The nade over to Redlick, trying to find that opening for IWNRX. But again, this is just an impunity match for Incilio. They've already put up those 8 points that they're going to look for on the game, and it's a great result. So they can go for a little bit wilder of a play because they're safe in the knowledge that they've managed to reach that floor, and now they can only push for the ceiling. Redlick still not going down. The guy's a warrior. That one maybe. Still, the last one, surely. What?
I know exactly why this is happening. They think he's behind the rock.
The Molotov too.
Yeah, they think he's behind the rock, and because they keep getting tags off, they're assuming that the nade is just going a little bit too far. It's a very bold move, sitting up in the front here. He can always move up towards the tree, but, you know, we'll play from Red Lake just understanding the sidelines that currently IWNRX have. They can't see over this way, so he can comfortably sit in the front line. Now he's moving up towards the tree. If they start nading the backside of the tree, I will laugh so hard.
IWNRX, they may have run dry on nades. I know Frozen doesn't have any, but they're mounting up. Redlick, he's still there. Westron is still there, stepping up their sprays from the off angle. Finally, they go across and say, you know what, nades aren't working. Let's go for the gunpowder, but maybe that's not enough either. Kine is down first, the spray to the backlines, and Incilio do fall, but they've gone the distance already. A 6th place finish for them. They'll get placement points too. IWNRX across the road, and Team Liquid looking to roll down the sidelines. Could they go 2 for 2 to take down Avoid Donkey ID? You've got to be kidding, because Vexy is still on the hunt, dishing out the damage. The Maxi 14, raining hell to Team Liquid. They want their revenge.
Another nade goes through, should finish off Mythic there. There's been such a fun game from Void Donkey ID. Like, genuinely one of my favorite games here in the PMGC groups off this rotate from Void Donkey ID. Team Liquid not doing too badly at all, but it's IWNRX. Like Max said, they were looking a little bit quiet, and it feels like the curse is very irrelevant here. Maxman giving teams a little bit of that extra strength that they might need into these circles. Now, IWNRX, I don't know how far further they go versus Void Donkey ID, as well as the location that Team Liquid currently hold, but it's at least a top 3 with a fair few eliminations on side.
Team Liquid, 3 eliminations and a 3rd place. That will see them up to 8 points on the game and keep them in that top 6 bracket. IWNRX now with a knock. They're slow to leave their position, but Void Donkey ID, they're right up to the edge of this circle. It closes to the center after this. The breakout wide gets caught. IWNRX looking to make Max's prediction come true here as they find that first opener. Now in a 3v4, they've got the res, they've got the health back. Can they flex their muscles?
Tater wanted that rotate off to the sidelines so he could provide support to the rest of the team. It's not the end of the world for Void Donkey ID, though. They just need to be very cautious about these nades coming through. Zeta sidesteps that one. They have to rely on the circle pushing IWNRX in, and these initial nades from IWNRX have to be on target.
Void Donkey ID should have a couple more nades in the pocket, given the bombardment we saw towards Incilio from IWNRX. A mad dash from Vexy. He's across to the tree. Zeta moves forwards. They found a knock to Swain. A nade up high, and he's got 3 left to play with. That Mini 14 still in the back pocket. An AUG to back it up. Zeta not down to it. Swain very low for IWNRX as well. And Void Donkey ID move forward. A surge, a charge on in. Straight into the firing line, and Zedwolf goes down next. Swain's still low, has to get the healing, will finally go for it. Frozen has to hold his nerve, has to hold the line. Kind crawling for a res, but Zeta's there, and they're putting so much pressure on. IWNRX are crumbling. Frozen here, now still just a bit of HP left to play with around the edge of the vehicle, and raises upon them. Vexy, Zeta from the backline. Swain is the second to fall, and the last is to go. It's Void Donkey ID with a massive chicken dinner.
This is the best game in PMGC groups from any team. I'm calling it right now, and they deserve this kind of celebration. What an incredible match from Void Donkey ID. What a wild run out from Vexy, getting the nades over the top, and Void Donkey ID stamp their names here in the last chance.
Even after being down a player as well, IWNRX picking off Potato as he tries to rotate with the buggy to provide an off angle. Somehow, they close it out, and Void Donkey get themselves a massive chicken dinner. Not to mention, on top of that, that also means now John Allen has to double the amount of eggs he's going to drink at PMGC Grand Finals to 8 from 4. Max Bad, you had IWNRX picks. They did finish off second, but I did not expect your prediction to make it that far.
It's like, oh my god, they're in top 3? What's happening? No, for IWNRX, I said it a little bit, they were silent to some extent, and this is definitely a really good showcase for them in the last chance. I think that they've woken up a little bit, said, yeah, what we did in survival stage was not quite enough if we are hoping for a top 6 spot. But man, Hodge, you need to talk about this push. This is an insane push. Like, Razor, that initial spray just made that entire push feasible. Z-Wolf was the front line for IWNRX, just trying to give a little bit more breathing space to the rest of the team to res up their teammate. But the moment Voin get in that nade range, it's GG. It's game over. There is no way that Chicken Dinner is not heading the way of SEA.
Dude, textbook, zero hesitation push. Look at that from Razak. I mean, he was just like off angles. He knew they could only be in a couple spots and took full advantage of it. I mean, and that's what you got to do in the last chance, right? The second you get that initial knock, you feel a little bit of that blood in the water. You got to be able to go and make that push happen. They didn't hesitate. They got it done, and they took out one of the best teams in the world. What a clutch play from Voin Donkey.
Man, Vexy, I agree with Blank. We need a Vexy Mini 14 skin.
Yeah.
We need that little face on their jersey on it. That would be a really sick skin to have.
Sitting here on the corner just looking at you like, how dare you, Max? I was your original love with the Mini.
Well, Sleepy should have qualified. No, sounds like a you problem.
Oh my god.
Sorry. But
chill, bro.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
Check out Maxman over Instagram if you want to give him some hate about that, all of you Poly fans. But no, honestly, a great game. And Max and Hotrix, would you call it here the most improved team in PMGC?
Oh, by far, dude, by a long shot. You know, Dementor has to be absolutely out of his mind right now. I mean, his wrists are killing him because of all the cartwheels he's doing after that game. I mean, this guy is pumped up, and rightfully so. I mean, because look, this is a team that we didn't really like, oh, this is going to be the squad, right? We're going to see them just shred IWNRX in the second game of Last Chance. And that's what they did. I mean, and Team Liquid were gifted the circle. So, I mean, Voin Donkey, man, these guys are on it.
I think I was kind of split between Regnum Tarabrat and Voin Donkey ID, but as of recently, and especially after this game, after the clinic that was just showcased to us here, showcased to the world by Voin Donkey ID. I mean, yeah, Voin Donkey ID is definitely the most improved team this PMGC for 2024. And the thing is, with his current pace too, Jason, like top 6, if they keep these kind of results all up today, they could literally secure a spot at the end of day 1 and just like chill tomorrow. Of course, you don't want to chill tomorrow, but that is how good of a game this was. And it's not an easy game too. It goes to showcase also their terrain knowledge. That we saw Hodrix, that they sent it between that rock and that ridge across the road. I think that was the single option that keeps Voin alive as long as they allow them to survive this game. And then the flex out with the 4 players is just a thing of absolute pure beauty. So Voin, incredible S+ tier gameplay.
Yeah. S+ tier.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't expect that.
We're doing a tier list right now.
We're doing a tier list right now. Another team, though, we have to mention after the back of the first match as well, Incilio. You know, we were kind of curious, would they be able to maintain momentum from the last 2 days of play? And well, here's our kind of answer. Not necessarily playing from the center, playing from the edge, and showing they still can make the correct moves.
Correct moves. I didn't catch the team name. I think it lagged out for me.
Incilio.
Incilio. There we go. Okay.
Same here.
No, Incilio, I think we're looking at this terrain, right, Hotrix, they were playing the Lumber Mountain, which is a good spot. Actually, really good third party on Loops versus D plus Kia. I think that the way they got involved in that fight was great. Not overstepping their position, just holding also the high ground to have information, not getting too involved versus Major Pride. But when you have to send it downhill in that flat terrain around Shelter, where so many teams are already positioned, for me, you're not going to win that game, but they made as many points as they possibly could secure, in my opinion.
That's what you got to do, right? That's what you got to do. You have to understand, like, hey, you know what? We didn't get the zone here. We're in a really, really tough spot. Let's put some points on the board, and they put up plenty. And remember, you know, Incilio is the team that took Milta away from BTR, and this would have been this was the perfect, you know, pretty much finished zone to land in Milta. So BTR, you can see only 1 total point, are definitely suffering from that decision.
I mean, what about the Xavier? This is back-to-back games, dying very early. They did get 1 point when it came to Sandhawk, but 0 here. The Xavier should be the bottom of the table. RCB as well, getting 0 points. They got 4 on Sandhawk, so they're not having a strong start. A little bit unfortunate for some of these teams, and I feel like we can't say this enough times. It's not possible. You cannot afford to be having bad games right now if you want to be top 6. It was already hard enough for some of these teams to get top 16 in the survival stage, but top 6 now to get your ticket to London. I don't know how some of these teams are going to bounce back. They have to have some massive games.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
Yep.
What else do you say? I mean, like when it comes to D Xavier, they've used up all their bad games, literally at this point. So going forward, they need a good chicken dinner. I mean, because look at this, the cutoffs are already starting to get a little bit sketchy there. I mean, Void Donkey 27 points and Cilio 27, and you know some of these other squads are going to get some pop-off matches too. So, man, when it comes to D Xavier, gotta wake up in this next match.
Yeah, you know what? I'm scared also for another team here, Jason, and looking at CSA, of course, Falcons top 6 is great. We're not seeing 4MV, and I have to be completely honest with 4MV. The way they've played recently, I do not think it's good enough for top 6. I know people are gonna give me a lot of crap for saying that, but I think that right now the way 4MV are playing top 6, it ain't gonna work out. We are not seeing them grouped enough. We saw it earlier when they were holding Trifecta versus D plus Kia. And here they just got completely caught off guard on the western side of Lumber Mountain, and they just couldn't do anything. And currently they're standing in 12th position, 8 points. In a similar vein to what you said about DX here, Hot Juice, I think that 4MV to some extent also kind of had as many bad games as they can really afford, maybe one more bad game, and then they just need to come back big time if they want to have a chance to do well.
Max, you're out here making enemies.
Sorry, I'm here to analyze, and if it ain't good, I can't say it's good just because a lot of people like them. Right now, 4MV is not playing up to what we initially expected, Jason. I mean, do you agree on that, or are you happy with their performance?
I love 4MV. I love
Jason, no. No. Come on.
So Random Carrier, bro, Hot Jukes. 15th place, only 4 points. A team that really had to rise up through group stage, through survival stage, but to falter potentially here at the finish line, that would be unfortunate for them.
Yeah, I guess like the saving grace for all those teams at the bottom are the fact that the fact that they could pop off like crazy at any time, right? So, I mean, it's definitely not over yet, but they need a pop off match, right? They can't just depend on those consistent 6-7 points. They need a 20-point game there, and you know what? I mean, things are so tense right now. You gotta make sure those comms are perfectly clear.
That's why you gotta move the mic.
Your mouth is minty fresh.
That's right.
I thought you were gonna start a sponsor segment. I was like, wait, what?
No, I'm just because I mean we seen I think it was Void
look,
spray their face with water.
No nails. He took them off.
He was doing a little heart with his fingers.
He's removed the nails here. He's getting serious.
I always like to see like players like warm up rituals, like Void spraying their faces. Take a look at IWNRX. So make sure their sleeveys are in the right positions, so they're comfy. Back in CSA, we had baby powder being used. No, Vaseline.
Oh,
yes.
That
That was the interesting one.
Wild.
That one blows my mind to see.
We used to use deodorant back in the day.
Deodorant?
Seriously. Yeah. During Star Challenge, I see so many dudes with deodorant. Just a little.
I hope everyone's using deodorant.
Oh yeah,
I've been to more enough events in my career to know that not all gamers use deodorant. Well, anyways, let's bring it back to the game here. We do have our next area coming up here. We know the teams who need to start stepping up here if they want to be able to contest those top 6 positions, but we also have our eyes on our top teams if they can maintain this momentum from the day, almost secure a spot in 1 day of play. Let's find out what's going to happen here as we drop into our second Erangel with our casters of Blank and John Allen.
We've got Erangel number 2 of the 6 that our teams will play over the course of this last chance stage. DX Xavier need to step it up a notch if they want to be in with a chance to play with the big boys over in London later in December. Match number 3 is upon us, Lipovka up towards Georgia Pole. So maybe quite a long drop down to Sosnovka military base. Could see some drop spot adjustments.
I would say so. I think some of our teams might still make the run out. I'd be curious to see what 4MV do in this game, where they're going to head over towards John in terms of Sosnovka military base, because long drops for them have always been a bit of a weird one. I truly do want 4MV to make it. I think they're a really good team, but they have made so many mistakes over the past 4 days. It's really tough to watch because I know that there are fans in chat right now. I am also a fan of 4MV. However, it's very hard to be right now where they're making these mistakes time and time again. I just see the need to get away from this mentality that every game has to be a gigantic one. Especially in Last Chance where there's only 2 days of play, you have to be going for more consistency. We know that 4MV can get those 25-point games, but they don't need to keep churning that same game out every single match. And if it's not the case, go out with 0 points. It's not the way to play. It's not the way to play. But we'll see what they can get done here over on our angle. There could be a couple of other teams that we will be looking over towards, specifically IWNRX. Can they keep up this same kind of performance? And can Voin Donkey continue on their absolute brutalization of this lobby? That last game was so unbelievably fantastic. I kind of want to watch it again.
It was just so smart as well as so brutal as well, though. That's the dangerous thing for the rest of the lobby. It wasn't just a really strong performance from Vexy. Let's be honest, he was doing so much work for the team, but they also had some really smart maneuvers, specifically that race over toward the ditch. And the guy who's been backseat in this, who's been QBing and masterminding it all, Coach Defiant, 7, was able to catch up with him. Let's hear what he had to say.
Welcome to a quick interview with the 7WG. This one's going to be with none other than Defi from VD. Defi, honestly, the team has performed so well throughout the PMGC, and I mean that you guys have started off rough. You guys been improving over and over again. What has been the biggest difference for the team, especially after the win we just saw?
I mean, it's pure motivation, like fresh motivation, rookie, right? Like 3 of them, or most of them. So they really pumped up to show up.
All right, well, let's see if that motivation keeps going. Back to you guys.
Motivation, and I mean, that is exactly what they needed to keep themselves going after that fat L, can't really put it any nicer, from Team Liquid that they were handed, right? And going down in a 3v1 situation, that can be a real big mental blow, but that motivation kept them afloat and pushed them to play smart and to work it out, and now they sit at the top of the tables for it.
And it's definitely something I've talked about before, where some teams do lack that motivation. I think, sadly, Vampires is a clear example of that. It's just a lack of motivation anymore to really push through those tough times and bounce back from those situations. But Voin Donkey's on the rise, and you see a lot of times it is the rise and fall of the tide of squads here in PUBG Mobile. Some teams will rise to the top, some teams will maintain that presence, some teams just will not. I think one of the best teams in the world that's been able to do that is Alpha 7. They have been consistently hungry for such a long time. And I don't think that hunger is going to go away, even if they win a PMGC, just because they have been battling to improve their gameplay tournament after tournament after tournament, after getting second place, third place, and finally coming off the back of a win over in PMWC. They're one of the few teams to do it, and one of the best teams to do it as well. And now Voin Donkey is showing that similar kind of gumption here in this lobby.
I would be happy to see them go through. I think it's safe to say everybody would at this point. The question is, will the teams around them let them do that? We were looking at around an 80-point bubble. Blank, they've now cut their necessary points down from... oh, goodness me, again, having the sirens in my background. Cut their necessary points down from that 80-point mark, down towards 53 over the next 10 matches, which... in general, means close to a 5-point average, right? And that's the great benefit that you're getting from having strong results game on game on game. You reduce the average that you need, reduce the burden on you, and in general, that tends to actually increase your average rather weirdly, because you feel less pressure. You feel like you can go for plays that get you those higher scoring games. On the expected value of them goes a little bit higher, maybe a bit more volatile, but fewer teams are going for it as well. The dynamics really shift in your favor with a game like that.
Yeah, it's also nice just to see an Indonesian team on top for such a long time. Like in the past, It used to be Indo teams, that's all we could talk about because they were the best at PUBG Mobile 2 to 3 years ago. That all shifted, but now it's really lovely to see. I mean, BTR still struggling to keep up here in 14th place, but Voin Donkey ID, they'll be waving the flag for that squad up in front of the pack.
It'll be interesting if they are able to get through. how they will fare against the other teams that have already qualified. Because remember, Donkey ID, they qualified, what was it, 7th, I think, from Group Green, which, as we all know now, after the last chance, or after the survival stage, is a really, really tough group. But how will they fare against teams like Team Spirit, like TJB, Alpha 7, Na'Vi, Brute Force, all of these teams who performed better in those group stage standings? But another thing that we caught from that interview was that a lot of these guys on the roster are, of course, still in their rookie phase, right? They are still developing and they're gathering that experience. So they may just be a completely different team to the one we saw in group stages.
Team Liquid shots over towards Major Pride, who not had the most horrible of matches. Elementrix does find Cardozo, so removes that disgusting thorn in the side of a lot of teams going forward. And that leaves Team Liquid just as 3. Chief moves up over towards the ridge. Elementrix should have good shots over towards him. He's backed off the location, but Becca on the sidelines. Great shot over towards Ayla, dropping Team Liquid down to just 2 players going forward. Mythic and Chief hoping to hold down the compound.
Ooh, Mythic at the window, but Evo Station able to launch himself through the shotgun shells, landing on target. The roll-up for the high ground there. A scout out will be turned away here for the Falcons. Loops as well on the west side. Trying to poke their noses in. DX Xavier as well chiming in, who we haven't touched on so far, but we're now almost at 8 minutes into the game, and they haven't lost a player yet. Could still all change, though, on the eastern side. Don't get engaged in that one. They're just getting that scouting done. We'll see what they can do. They're fairly central on the west side of Pachinki.
A lot of teams into this one already. Not too much movement happening on their side of things. And over towards that west side, there is a lot of space to play with. IWNRX sat down towards the field, south side of hospital. The Falcons pretty dead center, so this is a much more calm match to start things off here, considering we've had 2 pretty bombastic games over Narangal and our first Sandhawk. Here we have 16 teams all still alive at 8 minutes going into this one. I mean, Team Liquid are hanging on by a thread, but they're still playing.
Chief actually gets the shift over on that southwest edge. Over by the quarry. We'll see if he can keep his head down, rack up a few placement points, stay in that top 6 at the end of this game for Team Liquid. Marin Sejong on the northeast side of this circle, close to D+ here, but there's a roll-up coming through. D+ Clear going to try and make this one work. Both of them low, but it's D+ Clear who are able to deal the final blow there. Struck to the jaw. Takes one of the arms off of Marin Sejong. They're now playing on as 3. They do have a chance here still. D+ Clear with 3 players as well. That's a brilliant pickup. Favian goes down, and that brings them out to 2. So only 2 players on the inside, but if the regroup isn't fast enough, they could just go down to it. A roll forwards potential. Favian hasn't been flushed either.
Yeah, South Korean kerfuffle continues onwards. In Marin Sejong and D+, but D+ definitely have the better end of things. Hoxie, last player alive. Certainly a strong player on the squad, but I think being assaulted by 4 members of D+ will finally put him down. Favian most likely will be picked up, but with Voin Donkey sat in the wings here, maybe they'll be able to find something. But this is a smart move from them. They actually opt to send over the ridge side, get further ahead of D+. They see that the fight's concluded. It's not worth them moving now, as D+ likely will be able to get a reset. So this is a good move from Voin Donkey to get ahead of things as opposed to try and take that fight. It's a smart decision. This is what's consistently happening for Voin Donkey, is just making the correct decision in those moments, not going for fights that they know they're disadvantaged in. And even as the topside lobby at 27 points, they don't really want to push the boat out too far. Like you were saying earlier, their average placing now doesn't have to be that high.
It's going to allow them to clear their areas early where other teams may not be willing to go for it, right? It's going to allow them to get a little bit more aggressive in their holds, take a little bit more area, and that will start to add into strength towards the mid and late games. And I'm excited to see if they do adapt to it or if they just keep their heads down, because there's also value in just going for the same strategy, especially when the rest of the lobby isn't allowed to do so. Incilio do still have that freedom as well. And I think we talked a lot about Voin Donkey, but Incilio, another vastly improved team over the course of the PMGC League stages, into the survival stages, into now the last chance stage. And we will see if they can keep pace lockstep with Voin Donkey.
Looking over towards the center of the map, Loops, 77, both very close to one another, but do have a strong position to play off the back of. Those teams likely will be able to take shots as other squads as they make their way in. Voin Donkey, again. This is the team coming through from Kameshki, by the way. They're making their way over towards Gatka. They move up over towards this lone player from RCB. It is Loxy here. And Nate goes out, but it's a little bit lukewarm. And in comes the rest of the squad. RCB helping out. The reinforcements arrive, but Bexy finds one over towards Silas. What is happening here?
Gets the rundown, but that's traded off, and Voin Donkey lose 2 on the roll-up. Here's Zeta now looking to put the Molotov through the window. There's an off-angle chiming in. It's BTR wanting to try and stop the other Indonesian team getting too far away from them on those points tables, but that's a tall order. 3 players down. And the burn comes through. That actually clipped Loxy. Okay, all right. The Molotov is there. The res goes through onto Silas, but the crash from BTR. Could there be a second third party as well, potential? Coming in through from an off angle? I don't think so. It's just BTR for the fight. 2 players from Voin Donkey as Zeta holds the corner. A third player and BTR evaporate. What's a hold from Potato, from Zeta? 2 players from Voin Donkey take on the world.
Zeta in a 1v4. Potato looking to clean things out versus RCB. What is this game, John? Going absolutely
Potato
nuts. Wild very low. The micro Uzi making things happen. Now just down to Zeta.
But it's still a full force team. You've seen it against BTR. Does he have the chops to take down the rest of RCB? D plus Kier now in the wings of this fight, and it's so impressive time and time again. We were talking about strategic brilliance, but this is sheer brute force from Zeta. Voin Donkey have got it all.
From Zeta to a true alpha inside of this squad. Ridiculous shenanigans. And he gets a full reset on a ton of nades coming through from BTR, a ton of util. He could be sending nades for days over towards RCB going forward. And D Plus now trying to assault this location. I mean, Voin Donkey, they go down to just 1 player, but all things considered, like, this was a backfill onto Voin Donkey. They should have gone down a lot earlier. Unbelievable stuff. And that 5-point average is exactly what they needed to keep up their point scoring. Any more that Zeta can find in this game is just a boon for their point scoring.
Goodness me. They're looking for the gravy on their chicken dinner here. Zeta, I mean, now I think he could still do it. I'm not going to count him out. Not just yet. D plus Kier don't quite have the off angle to control the backside of this building, which means that he does have that wall to try and play around. The double hop through the buggy. This guy is quick on the fingers. As Zeta still pinning those shots through the window and around the edge continues to fly around, making him nervous, making him a hot step, but I think maybe his time is done. The corner here as he hops in through the vehicles again. He's back in the building. The guy's giving them the runaround, but steps out wide, nearly fumbles the door frame, but drops the smoke. The nade in. He forces the fight. Oh, it's more to go. Oh, finally, the chaos ends. But Voin Donkey ID, give us another entertaining engagement.
Dude, that was nuts. That was actually nuts. Oh my god. I mean, if he'd cooked the nade slightly longer, it could have been a completely different scenario. It's hard to know when they go for the full-on push, though. But, wow, okay. I don't know if much can top this game. Other than the 1v4 on the BTR, who are probably feeling really quite rough on that one. Gives them the Cardozo treatment. And then some.
That's nuts. That is nuts. I mean, they've only got 5 points on the game. And we do have to yap about them, because that was crazy stuff on the northern side. I mean, that nade as well. What's interesting about that nade is it's likely that the first player goes through, right? But you drop that nade, the players behind can't follow up immediately because they can't step on that nade. They will just go down, and then it's a 1v1, right? That means you isolate the fight by dropping the nade on the door frame, and maybe that was the idea all along. Unless you just wanted to get it out, have that little caltrop dropped underneath them to slow them down, but still such a nice attempt at that 1v3 to back up a 1v4.
Yeah, I mean, that is the typical play, right? Where you drop the nade on the door frame and they can't really push off the back of it. I think you see a lot of teams doing that. It's a fairly basic play. But the cool thing about it is it indicates that he was ready for the 1v3. Like, he was going for it. And the fact that he gets the first knockout was truly marvelous. And RCB there, they just have to commit to the fight. And it is good from Loxy, the fact that he's able to fully go for that one. He knows his time is limited there. He has to get that knock going through almost immediately or he goes down to the nade. So for RCB, again, there's a little bit of credit to given to their side. Still, it's sort of the 1v3, guys. Come on.
There's only so much you can do. It's not really a 1v4. 1v4s are actually way easier. I don't know if you knew that, than 1v3s. Certainly in that scenario. In Cilio, they've lost a player. The Xavier putting pressure on them from the north side, taking an Elim. And it's the same story for Voin Donkey and Incilio. Of course, just putting up those averages. I wouldn't be too surprised to see Incilio just give a little bit of ground, but they don't really have anywhere to go. So it may just be the nades over towards the Xavier. Keep them at bay. Try and go for that 3v4.
IWB at NRX, this is a fairly typical location to be playing. Might be doing a bit of damage. No, it's a little bit close. Good nade from Zedwolf again. Over towards Reyes in the back line. Frozen gets re-knocked and Kyne's just going to send out with Zedwolf. I think they realize there's just one player left remaining now. Frozen extremely low. And IWX might need to leave. Zedwolf steps so... Oh, how does he miss that? That's so unfortunate. The spray paints a rainbow around the head of Renozin. Damn, he was on target too.
That is really unfortunate there. Eliminated both of them, actually, over on that western side. The circle shifts out east. It's over to the Falcons on the split area there, up to the roadside. A 2-2 hold on the north. Might be difficult to stop D+ getting in, but that south side may just hold itself for the time being. I think the wild card here is DXavier, but fortunately, Major Pride have spotted him.
For DXavier, one more bad game. Right? They go out here with just the two Elims they've been able to grab it. Again, it's a pretty horrendous result here from DXavier. They are locked out on this eastern side. They have positions to play off towards, so see what they can get done off the back of that. 4MV understand that they need just some consistent point scoring, so they're going to stay out of the way for the time being down towards the south side. There is a lot of room for RCB and D+ to play on this northern edge alongside with Falcons. A lot of these teams likely to take one another out, and 77 have been pinned in this fight with Loops for such a long time.
Loops approaching from the southwest do have to move first. 4MV right on the outskirts of this one. Doc taken down first. I mean, this is such a difficult position for 4MV to leave. It's not to do with Doc playing split. He was right on top of them. It's just the fact that Major Pride have such brilliant angles over towards it, and there's really not too much opportunity to move out to that west side. You can't go through. You hit DXavier. It's just a dire position for 4MV in this spot. Not too much blame to be apportioned to them. Maybe you could look back at their rotations earlier on, but certainly not in this firefight.
Yeah, it's a hard exit. I mean, to be honest with you, you look at the circle from about to stage 3, where 4B was actually fairly central. It's just unfortunate the double north shifts for their side of things. 77 actually doing good damage over towards Loops at the moment. They have one player down, a little bit more damage done. 4MV now making for a crash out towards the side. Good smoke to lay down to help enable this crossing. And they go back.
Interesting. Loops continuing to suffer those. 77 giving them a good fight. There's 2 players, 3 players, just Nino left on the outside trying to find Limbo Boom, but all 4 players of 77 are still in action here, and they find the spray through the door frame. 5 points now as they hop up overtake Major Pride, or regain rather, that 6th place away from them.
Yeah, great stuff from 77.
4MV?
4MV though,
okay,
were able to make their way around. This is a perfect opportunity for them. They know they're just coming off the back of a fight, but realistically they need a knock here. And if they're not finding any knocks, then a 3 versus 4 becomes a little bit more difficult. Great nade from Apex though, over towards Shifu, looking to confirm that one through.
Nice nade forwards. Does damage, not much more though. Limber Boom Over and across towards Shifu. Zadira holding it from the doorframe. Baron gets across and the dash towards Shifu to try and confirm this. They need to try and hold this off angle, but in comes Major Pride, the third party position. 4MV now forced into this fight. They don't really have a choice about it, and the off angle is spotted. Apex finds Zadira as he flees up the staircase, and the approach over towards Limbo Boom is there. 77 desperately trying to cling on to this one. Try and regain this compound, but it's not to be. 4MV find the breakout.
Thank the Lord for that. I mean, for 4MV, it's been a while since we've seen them. You have to get a good rotate out into the fight. Good third party from them. Evo Station on a lovely angle over towards RCB, who rocked down towards Major Pride after getting an initial knockoff. And there is a bit more damage flying on through. Now down to 2 players, but a nade over towards Loxy could prove disastrous.
Becca descends upon them, but Reefus is there. Holds the line above RCB's head. And Becca out in the open. Major Pride suffering heavily now. Evo Station, the last to fall. It's DXavier who are sweeping in from this east edge. They know they need the points here. Levi's needs to heal. Careful of Incilio across the hill, but Apex rolls up for more.
Yeah, good play from DXavier. They picked their moment very well. And they know they need that position. They've had eyes on over towards that location for quite a while versus Major Pride. 4MV with 5 eliminations. It's a good match from them so far. I actually have enjoyed the rotates. They lost Doc and they played on as 3, albeit they didn't have much choice to get him back up again. He was immediately knocked in the process. But again, this just shows to them that they can play without Doc and they can play as 3 quite easily. Taking down 77 was no small feat.
Cilio across the way, playing with 2. They've got a top 6. There's DXavier moving around. They want to try and get rid of him. 2 players to deal with. Levi's taken low. Falcons should have angles onto it. Lamborghini down on the rock up, but that is the only casualty they suffer for now. That may change. There's still 1 player from Incilio. 5 elims found for DXavier. They get the res. They should be able to hold on to it. Loxy, the last player to fall for RCB in the meantime. We're down to 4 teams remaining, Blank.
Apex got nothing left in the back pocket here. Really did need to get a refresh over towards Loxy, but he didn't drop all that much or anything. DXavier, very important game for them. They'd love a top 3. Let's see how possible it is. 4MV's got to wrap back around towards that western side. DXavier, pretty safe. D+, though, on a 2-2 split. I kind of like it, though.
They've got those 2 players on the far south flank. I mean, at the moment, Falcon's so central. Very, very safe, given that 2-2 split. Because D+ Kia are not 4 players alive in the compound to their northeast, they're not worried about that crash. And Falcons can pay much more attention to the hills to their south, going uphill, looking for the shots over towards DXavier, who do take a knock, and the flush sent their way as well. DXavier still a little bit penned in up on the high ground. 4MV getting this far into the game, I did not expect, but without Doc, it's going to be a little bit tough to navigate these south hills as well.
I'm wondering if 4MV assumes that's DXavier. Nade over towards that top side will do a little bit of damage, and Apex will be backed off from that one. Hard to push over towards DXavier as they have cover. Ooh. Going through versus Falcons. Very direct nade over towards Apex. Reefus is on that off angle, but is not able to find anything, and this is likely 4MV done for.
Baron last to stand. Now the roll-arounds from DXavier as they're caught on the backlines there. The vehicle almost smashes into Baron, but he's going to hold the bonnet, hold the boot as well. Try to kick DXavier out of this circle. Not going to work out. Takes them very, very low. They lose Lamborghini, and Levi's is bleeding out. D+ Kia doing the work on the off angle.
Oh man, that could have actually easily been a Baron 1v2 there. It's sad that on his spray transfer, neither of them went down on a knock. I think if even one of them took an extra stray bullet, that would have been a knock on one side and he might have lived long enough to get the second, but it's not meant to be, and DXavier will get themselves back into the game here with 3rd place, finally.
I feel like today we're seeing some of the best PUBG Mobile we've seen in a long time, Blank. Some excellent rotates being made, some interesting tactical decisions, things coming out to surprise other teams. Are we seeing coaches, analysts, IGLs dipping into their strat book finally, where they've been reluctant to before? Or is it just that they are honed by the keen knife's edge of the last chance stage? Only 1 shot to make it to the finals, and D+ Kia looking to be denied entry here by the Falcons.
Damn, that was a pretty quick cleanup over towards D+, but third place nonetheless, not too bad. Falcons just have a very good hold over towards this compound. DXavier will be the next to face here. D+ likely now just waiting out for a second place, but with where Nolbu currently is, it's outside of the zone. We'll have to get towards the backside of this shack.
With the nades going off, they know that's not coming from the hills, and they know they haven't fully flushed D+ Kier. Spots action on the top floor. They know where he is now. I mean, this is nade range, and this is 2 players peeking him. And they will find the shot. Nolbu falls. 4 eliminations. Low elimination counts for Falcons as well. Only up to 5. D+ Kier do have the high ground now. No teams on their east side, but losing that 1 player could be really, really tough stuff for them. Not having 4 sightlines from the top makes this so much harder, but they spotted top.
Yeah, you essentially trade out position for eliminations just for a chicken dinner, but losing top like that is really quite horrendous. Now for DXavier, they might have just saved themselves coming to match 3 with 9 eliminations, guaranteed second place as well. Very good stuff. The circle does keep them in on this high ground. I think it might back out some of their off angles over towards that north side, specifically Paragin, as well as Nadetti, who I don't think they know its location just yet.
Paragin is just about in that circle, but yeah, Nadetti gonna have to move, and this is the most dangerous maneuver they can make. If he gets up to the roadside, that'd be kind of crazy, but I don't think that that's possible at all with the low ground angles that they hold against them on the Falcons. I don't think they've got too many vehicles to play with either. It's a question of biding your time, trying to find a flush. Getting the flush on the top was so important. He's actually got 4 of the elims on the team.
Yeah, the top going down there is pretty disastrous. Stage 9, I think, does support the Falcons, but they have to hit their shots, basically. And DXavier really are quite accurate when it comes to these fights. So if they're even able to get 1 knock over towards action, or even east, it might start to go a little bit pear-shaped. Both teams just waiting for stage 9, though. Force each other out into the open.
The standoff. Everyone regrouped now into the zone. DXavier, I mean, you said it, right? They need this. A chicken dinner here would be huge. Getting those extra 3 elims would put them up to 12, so a 22-point game would put them back in the running.
Toward the wall here. Smokes start to go through, so do the nades. Good smokes too, and it does force East to actually play on this position. They still maintain vehicles as well to DXavier, which is a big deal here in terms of rotating into position. Lots of smokes down. Big old spray over towards them, though, and that's going to delay. This allows Action to get forward on the smoke train into nade range. Really good play here from Action.
Goes Blast into Paragin's side there. Takes him out of the running, and Action and Icy on the Voin Donkey roll out here. Nade low, but not out of it just yet. Levi's under pressure. Goes to a sliver. Goes down to the second. Icy with the 1-2 punch on Action's first nade. Breach and clear. The Falcons ride high to the top of the hill.
I love the fact they play out like that. They don't allow DXavier to stall and stalemate the game out to the point where Falcons are in a bad position. Really good set of smokes, still allowing the sightlines from East on the side uphill, but also just enabling that run out from Action, which was very, very important. Very great game from the Falcons in the center of the circle.
Really excellent stuff there, but we had so much to talk about during that game. We had the donkey kick on the north side from Zeta to take BTR out, and those roll-ups, those hillside navigations, excellent stuff. Let's see what the desk has to say about it.
Well, it was a win indeed here for Falcons, though I think there's a little bit of criticism on our side about what transpired as we got into the final moments there. And I think I'll just throw it straight into this here. On top of the building, dying.
Oh.
Should not have done that.
Made no sense. Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't have peeked at all. They should have just waited for that blue zone, did exactly what they did at the end. But I mean, they were confident here. They had so much room to work with. Those smokes were perfect. And this nade from Action, yeah, that just pretty much just put the money in the bank right there.
I really feel like they're going on a big positive, because I also got baited by the smokes. So Falcons was like, wait, the smoke rate is like one line is very nadeable and they're waiting way too long. But I think you said, Jason, like they were trying to bait out DX. I think the response of DX they were trying to bait out was using their utility. And a few nades did come out of DX, and no one were in the smokes. And I think that DX, because of those smokes, thought, oh, okay, they're sending it now at the start of the smokes. No, they delayed it by about 15-20 seconds. A few nades come through, and DX are like, wait, what's happening? We're not hitting any of these nades. And that's when Falcons get closer, and especially we saw Hodrix, one of the players, gets in nade range, and that just pushes the entirety of D Xavier back against the blue zone.
It was Action. And we've talked about, the last few days, Action, like kind of taking his whole team, putting him on his back and trying to make sure that they get through. And he does it yet again here with that knock on a Perogen.
Beautiful. I mean, yeah, I'm telling you, like Team Falcons, whenever they get a Gadka circle, they are going to win that game. And it was pretty easy to call, right, for a good hot minute, but they executed it perfectly. I mean, except for, of course, that little top knock, but it's scary because, and I think that we're valid in our criticism, because that little mistake could have cost them so much, but it's good that the team was able to clean that up.
I mean, speaking of mistakes, we did have, I can't remember who the last player was alive. Was it Nolbu or D+? And Max, he spotted out. He was trying to like shoot into Falcons, and he had 2 smokes, and he didn't bother to use it, and yet he peeks out in an open field, like an open area.
He wasn't even peeking, he tried to run over, but he had 2 smokes and he was behind hay bale and he just sends it. I think he had enough time to throw the smoke and for it to bloom and actually maybe have a chance. But as a whole, when you're leaving the chopsticks area going into Falcon's compound, it's always going to be really tough to make that transition, Jason. And I like the idea. I think they send one player, who was it, Fabian, south of the road to try and get an off angle to maybe stop Falcon from peeking as much as they already were doing in that game. I think that was a really good idea. But unfortunately, the fact that DX was still alive and up to 3 players just kind of hindered that plan in the first place. So good idea from D+, but yeah, the fact that they made it as far in this match for me is a big plus. But this fight, Hot Juice, we need to talk about it. Zeta, what is going on with this man with the S12K?
Oh man, this man was in the straight flow state at that point. Like, he went Ultra Instinct. This guy could not be stopped. This was by far the best play in the tournament. I mean, what else could you say? I mean, he was putting that entire team on skates. Even RTB had a big old problem with this guy. I mean, he was hopping in and out of cars, in and out of the buildings, and he almost got another squad wipe. So, man, this guy's got to be feeling himself.
It's so funny because, yeah, you have this whole fight of Voin, Donkey ID fighting RCB. It's a big clash. It's kind of even. Then Voin starts to falter and struggle, and you have the full reset happening for RCB. BTR see a great opportunity there, Hodges. They send it in like, oh, this is an easy third party. The elimination feed was lighting up. So many players must be knocked at that point. And then you have Zeded like, we're the captain now. And he just turns around and just obliterates BTR. Sure, there was a bit of help of RCB from the distance with their angle. But yeah, I mean, definitely top 3 players of the tournament, in my opinion. Zeta, that was incredible what he just did. And with the extra point on board here, maybe that's going to help them make sure that they're very comfortable at the end of today for the top 6.
But don't forget, we got to see some vintage top action as well, as D+ tried to crash into the compound. He takes down 3 people, I think 4 overall. You can see Falcons 18 points, a massive game for them. And again, not to mention only them, but D Xavier, who has struggled getting 1 point across 2 matches, getting themselves 15 here. Then 4MV, Max, you were kind of critical about them, and I think for good reason. But they do start to show up here with their own 10 points.
Yeah, I better synergy Hodrix on their push on 77, all kind of pushing together. Like, literally a 1-2 second difference when they cross doors or peek through windows. So, like, I think they maybe spotted out that their synergy was not on point and up to par for this lobby, and are trying to, fix those minor mistakes we've seen in the past.
Yeah, they just got to go back to basics, play together as a squad. They have the firepower, right? So I think that they realized with that circle, like, okay, Falcons are going to win this game. Let's just play the edge and just try to get as many elimination points as we can. And when they have that clear vision, you can just see it works, right? It works for them. They got plenty of eliminations, at least for this match here. And it's getting scary, I'll say that, because you look at all the teams, right, that soaked up points in this match. Those were the teams that we were really worried about, right? So, man, it's only going to make things interesting here as the day goes on.
MVP going to be top here. And I did want to point out one thing you brought up. We're talking about teams feeling themselves or individual players. And Cilio, Max, you're talking about how they kind of went for a 2-2 split. but allowing Stalwart to be between their 2-2 split.
That was crazy. I was like, is that intentional, or did it just like happen to go down that way and Stalwart maybe moved in between them? But that was kind of crazy. They did outlive then Stalwart, so it somewhat worked out, Jason. But yeah, that was a weird one. But still, Incilio sweeping edge. It is kind of their new playstyle, and it's working out because they're in first place, tied with Voin Donkey ID. So I mean, yeah, looking pretty good for the side of CSA and SEA right now in the rankings.
Look down, 4MV. They also get through into 6th place at the moment. So you got D+, 4MV, Team Liquid, Falcons, Void, and Incilio at the moment. But again, I mean, you can already see 2 teams lingering on the edge. Just 1 point difference between them and getting into top 6 with IWNRX and, of course, the Vicious. So I think we're starting to see some normality in the teams we expected to be top 6. But honestly, with only being 3 matches in, you sure as hell know anything can change by the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, but we're already a quarter of the way through, dude. That's how wild this is. Looking at the second page, it's still pretty dang close here. I mean, besides, the last 3 teams, Marine Sejong and BTR, they're going to need a really strong game in this next one, that's for sure. But everybody else, like, they have that pop-off potential, and anything could happen. One team in particular I'm going to be really looking at is I'm going to look a little bit harder at Regnum Karya. This was a good game for them. They got out of that bottom stage. Now they're in 12th place, so they're in a pretty decent position. But, with how these other teams are performing, Max, yeah, you got to make it happen here now.
I feel like I'm happy you bring up RCB. I definitely agree with your point. But another team that's kind of been falling off is right now Mirror and Sejong. We haven't seen too much from them ever since the end of their group, and they've been struggling ever since. So we need to see a big step up here for the second half of the day.
Well, speaking of the second half of the day, we're going to head to a short break. And when we come back, we'll be diving into our second half with only 3 matches left to go here in day 1 of Last Chance.
I'm joined by the coach of the team that's currently in first place, none other than Incilio Hoba. You guys started off slow in group stages. You guys ended up in 9th place. Then we move on to survival stage. You end up getting a 3rd place. Now with a hot start, that you have had. You're currently in first place. What has been the biggest factor for that uptrend you guys are currently having?
Вы начали от PMGC с 9-го места на Group Stage, на Survival Stage вы заняли 3-е место, и сегодня вы начали очень хорошо. Что является главным фактором ваших улучшений?
Ну, мы проработали нашу информацию во время игры, минимализировали риски в конце зон. У нас есть 2 молодых игрока, и сейчас они набирают опыт.
So we work on our communication, minimalized our risks during the game, and since we also have like 2 youngest players, they just started getting their experience in the game. So yeah, that's what we worked on.
I'm glad you mentioned those young players because before this, you were also telling me that it is everybody's first PMGC. So just like VD, some of the players are finally starting to get their experience. We're seeing that uptrend. Some teams tend to get comfortable playing on the outer edge of the circle. Some teams get comfortable playing on the inside of the circle. What does your team prefer?
Некоторые команды любят играть, контеститься с краю этого зоны, некоторые команды контестятся в центре зоны. Что ваша команда предпочитает?
Мы предпочитаем играть от информации. Можем первую зону дождаться, когда команды сыграют в центр, и от чека сыграть с краю, и по возможности увидеть в центре хорошие позиции и сыграть туда.
So it depends on the game. We can start from the side of the circle. We can move to the center of the circle. It all depends during the game and about the information. And yeah, that's all.
I can definitely see that, especially in this last match. You guys were able to do a 2-2 split, leapfrog some teams. It was insane. Spasiba, Hoba. Back to you guys.
Great to hear from Encilio to talk about how they've been able to perform here. And for a team that has not had a player go to PMGC previously, they're definitely playing like a team who's almost taken a title at PMGC.
Let's go.
Yeah. Fashy was close so many times, man, and he's like, "Oh, we're finally here!" And of course, they got 2 new rookie players, but it's very visible, Jason, that they feel so much more comfortable in this lobby with those 2 new players. And yeah, you get better with experience, and they got that experience through the survival stage, through the league stage, and now they're just playing their A game the way they wanted to play. I'm pretty sure from the get-go, but now they just feel way better. And to be honest, they even have these weird splits. We talked about it earlier, right, Jason, with their 2-2 against Star Wars. And even then, they just don't falter. Like, it's fine. We can come back from this, and they do so in like a flashy way. So I'm sold on Encilio, and they've proven that they can maintain that big step up they did in survival going in the last chance.
You said they brought their A game. Well, for me, it seems like the Infinix GT20 Pro has taken them to S+ game, because we can see they've been able to perform so well and almost get into the grand finals at the moment. The 120 FPS and 144 Hertz AMOLED screen. You guys can pick one up and play it like the Pro. Who do you got on there, Max? Who's on the wallpaper now?
I don't know if you want me to use this one, Jason, but it's an old picture of
you can't even see what it is
of Jason. Oh, there we go. It's an old picture of Jason. I had to go back on the dark web to find this one. Yeah, send me a message on Instagram if you want it. I'll send it to you, and you can use it as your own wallpaper, guys. Yes.
Let's go.
I mean, I know exactly what that's from, actually.
I don't know.
2012. In 2012, in a studio, me walking into it for the first time at the company that hired me to move to Germany. That's what that picture is. I just
Googled Jason Kaplan cringe picture, and that was the first one that came up. So.
Well, I tried Googling Maxman with hair, and I just didn't get any hits. So as we do move into now our final Aaron Gell of the day, I feel so bad for saying that. Oh,
hey, it's fine. Hey, you know what? You hit me back with my own medicine, Jason. I can't argue about that.
That was too mean. I'm sorry. That was too harsh. That was too harsh. But we have had a pretty exciting day so far. No repeat wins just yet. Again, I mean, we're seeing how close the leaderboards are, that just one win will get you into top 6 or get you extremely close to top 6. I mean, we saw Xavier bounce back from 16th place to, I believe, around 9th. So it's really anyone's game at the moment, and I feel like we're seeing really every strat, everything pulled out of that playbook that we've talked about before.
Yeah, I have to say one thing that seems way better the further we get in this PMGC, Hodrix, and I'd love to know if you think the same. Third parties are way cleaner, except for that BTR third party. That one was just a massive fail. But like, teams will not give up an opportunity to claim a strong position and deal-ins in the, at the same time if they see a fight happening in the distance. Like, they'll send it and they'll go absolutely ballistic in those fights.
Yeah, they got to know that, you know what, we got to hedge our bets, right? So if we can get an easy third party and get some nice eliminations, and we saw Luke do that immediately in Sandhawk, right? And it worked out for them. So, I mean, third parties are going to be the name of the game for sure. So if you get that opportunity, you got to take it, and teams definitely are.
Wasn't Westron the damage leader at the end of survival stage as well?
He was.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was him, and there was also one of his teammates that was in the 4th position. Who was it? Was it Redlick or Fashe? I don't. It's one of those two that were up there too.
One thing I want to mention though is, Jason, I remember you asked me a question. You were like, "Hey, dude, like, what do you think is going to be like the biggest surprise team?" And I mentioned a squad like the Vicious. Do you think it was going to be in Sulio though?
I didn't have high expectations for them. I think after watching them during CSA, I think Max would kind of agree with me on that. I did see some glimpses of what they could do, but just the fact that they were so inexperienced on an international level like this, I didn't have high expectations. I think for me, they're definitely one of the biggest turnarounds and the biggest surprises. But for Vicious, like, they didn't, I mean, they technically didn't even like qualify, right? It's because Tucson and Brazil couldn't play that they came in, and they were able to show up and still do extremely well in Group Yellow, you know, hover on that 4th place position for quite a long time. Yes, eventually they did fall down the leaderboards. I would say Vish is still the biggest surprise, but Incilio performing like this is definitely like right behind that. I don't know about you, Max.
It's very close. I'd have to agree on that with that kind of sentiment. It is definitely interesting because it's a team that also maybe had a little bit less time to prepare because they were like, wait, we're going to PMGC, what's happening there? And they've really significantly improved. And I think that the standout player for me is definitely Dimenor. Like, this guy has such a good clutch factor here, so it's incredible. Though before we head in the game, on the top 4 gunslingers, Icy is currently in 2nd place above your Tops, your Actions, your East, which we don't see that happen very often because, as we know, he's not like the fragger of the team. He typically isn't. He's like more of a support off-angle player, but that's kind of interesting to see him top the charts for his team.
I just saw Silas, dude. Did you see his face? He was just like staring off into the distance, dude. Things are starting to get really in, man. Yeah, he's got to lock in here because, I mean, now's the time. Now's the time. Last Aerogale of the day. Got to get it done.
Well, 10 seconds left to go before we do hop into this. That means we're almost at the halfway point of the entire last chance. It's only 6 teams that can move through. We're going to find out who will be able to jump into the top 6 here after this game as we head into it with John out and Blink.
We've had our midday break and we will keep it rolling here from Milta Peninsula over towards the quarry through the middle of the map. So a nice easy plane path to go in for match number 4. We'll see how our teams navigate this one. The top spot under hot contest right now. It's been on a tiebreaker for the last 2 matches, Blank, and just about Incilio getting into that top spot. I think this is the first time we've ever seen it go to the 4th tiebreaker statistic, right? You go chicken dinners, then placements, then points in last match, but all of those were the same for those 2 teams, and now it goes to the placement points in their last match, with Incilio getting 2, Voindoki getting none, despite having a much bigger impact on that circle.
Yeah, funnily enough, I mean, this is the crazy thing where it can really get a little bit hot there. Obviously, we're not too concerned about a 1st and 2nd place tiebreaker, although it is very cool to see, as I don't think we've seen it in a long while. But we are concerned about that 6th place bubble. This is the last angle of the day, as the boys were saying, talking about RCB and how Silas looking off into the void, staring at his own fate. And I mean, at the moment for RCB, typically they do very well on our angles. You're through half of your angles already. Right, this is your last one before we hit that 50% mark. This is where they do usually significantly well. So far, it's not looked great. They drop in Rozok though, a northeast shift on the circle does bode well for them. I'd be pretty happy to see them do well here over on Stalber's side of things, and I think RCB would be a very good team to add to our roster of the top 6, because I still think that potential hasn't quite been reached yet. At the moment though, 1st place goes to Incilio and Voindonkey, as you were talking about earlier. Falcons sliding into 3rd place after a lovely chicken dinner able to pick up. And Team Liquid, D+, and 4MV hanging on. 4MV probably the most interesting one out of all of that, though it is a tenuous 6th place with practically everyone underneath them being 2 points behind them.
It is a really tightly fought pack, and because we are only 3 matches in, it will start to define itself, Rafinha. Come on, you can get it. You can get it off the ground. No, he's just going to go for the vehicle instead. Bobbing along on the bottom of the beautiful briny sea. Bet not to brew 6, that one. Brilliant film. Very, very old now. Loop's going to be heading on in with the vehicles, though, on the south side of Georgia Pole, potentially trying to get across the bridge early. It would be pretty high value to get that position over in Cube Compound on the northeast side, stop teams like Mir and Sejong from blocking you on that road crossing, because that is your move if you're Loops, right? You don't go on that south coast, you go up over that north side, try and take a position to the east of Severny.
Yeah, they can stop up over towards the compound, which would be absolutely fine. But we do have an interview with one of our favorite players here. It will be Zeta from Voin Donkey off the back of their 1v4. We are just waiting for Seven to get himself onto the stage and onto his box so he can at least be a similar height to everybody else here. But yeah, Zeta obviously having an unreal performance over on that last game, the 1v4 versus BTR, Indo on Indo action, but overall an insane player and a rookie coming into this one. Let's hear from Seven about Zeta.
Welcome back to a quick interview with the 7WG. This, oh man, I'm happy about this one. We got Zeta from VD. There's been some questions asking, who's the better Indonesian team? Is it VD? Is it BTR? I feel like we got a clear answer with what just happened in the last match. Tell me, what was going through your mind whenever you clutched that up?
Oke, jadi sebelum ini ada pertanyaan tim Indonesia yang mana paling kuat di antara BTR dan juga Van ID. Dan setelah apa yang terjadi kita ngerasa adakah itu udah fix benar lah yang Void ID adalah lebih jago daripada BTR. Jadi pertanyaannya adalah ketika kamu ngeratain BTR tadi, apa yang berada di pikiran kamu?
Yang di pikiran aku sih ya karena ada third party juga, jadi aku usahain buat ratain yang di belakang, soalnya teman-teman aku di belakang lagi perang juga sama RCB.
Okay, so basically, yes, of course, I'm focused on myself where we need to clear on the backside because there's a third party as well. So yeah, I just gonna focus and try to kill them all, and then we just gonna focus on RCB. So yeah.
Well, keep doing that because if you keep up with those clutch ups, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be hyped up.
Like
Back to you guys.
Excellent. You've heard of the Falcon Punch, but now we're seeing the Zeta Donkey kick to be taking players out of the lobby left and right. Will we see a repeat here? Because they have the far side of the circle to get to. Voin Donkey ID right now over in Primorsk and a long road ahead of them, a long approach. But will they go for that edge sweep style that Incilio seem to be prepared to do, depending on the situation in the game, which I find to be. I'm gonna give him a little bit of flack here. It's such a non-answer when a team says that. It's like, oh, we just do what's best for the game. It's like, okay, but which do you prefer? Like, you've got to like one more than the other, surely.
It's hard. It is hard. I think when you play PUBG Mobile, I think, to be honest with you, as much as this is also a non-answer, you have to play like that. Like, it depends on the circle, massively.
That is true.
I guess you do have a preference, right? Would you rather play central or would you play edge? I think most teams would say central. You know, if you could be in the center of the circle, easy peasy. Some crazy teams might enjoy playing the edge and really playing it right on that border of insanity of, damn, we're going to sweep people, but we may go down in the process and completely scupper our chances at getting into the top 6. But we let those teams do what they want. Yeah, I think most teams would like to play central, but right now, for instance, this circle here, if you're in Cilio, you're likely going to be playing edge here.
RCB have the angles onto 77. A little bit of EMEA infighting here. 77 swing in for the pickup. Uber's arrived and takes him on down the hill. 5-star rating. Thank you very much. Get me out of here.
Yeah, right now, actually first time in quite a while, that we haven't had an EMEA-dominated top side of the lobby. At the moment, it is Indonesia with Voin Donkey, Mongolia for Falcons, but no EMEA up towards that top side. 77 in Major Pride, though, not far behind. And I do think that they could move up. IWNRX were shortly cut out from that top 6, though. 17 points, though, to the 18 from 4MV. Very doable. But for IWNRX, their position right now, it's not secure. I do think they can get another big game going, and they have to make it happen, because for IWNRX, there has been a fair few times, John, where we've been waiting for them to do something big, and it just never came around.
He's just waiting at that window, watching. Never delivered. Not yet, anyway. North side circle condensing in 7.5 minutes through. Haven't seen first blood drawn. 4MV on the bridge crossing. Always got to be a worry for them, but nobody in their way for now. Voindonkey also late on that rotate from Primorsk on that southwest side. I mean, generally on a circle like this, you know you're going to have to rotate in late, so why not go real late? You're in stage 1. The zone is definitely manageable. Just grab a bit of healing on board. Keep yourself topped up with those bandages. Get yourself into the circle when those openings present themselves.
4MV, long rotate for them. Yeah, it's going to be a bit tough. But like you say, bandaging up, keep themselves nice and healthy. Heading on in up towards that northeast side. It's a curious one because a lot of teams are going to want to play on the north side of Stalbus. So you are cutting around about, let's say, 25% of the circle out, but now all of a sudden we're going to head up there anyway, as RCV do find themselves a decent position. I'd be curious to see which teams are able to take up that compound that sits very much on the north side, on the coastal line. I think we have seen Mirren Sejong pick that position before, and I imagine they'll go for it again. Mirren Sejong currently in 14th place with 8 points. This right now might be a good game for them to extract some points from this match and get themselves more over towards that middle side of the pack, because they're one of the few teams that is lagging behind alongside with Loops and BTR.
Trying to move off the mark for Mirren Sejong, but denied so far. Falcons off the back of a chicken dinner, a low elim chicken dinner granted, but still up towards the top spots there, and with that nice little 11-point, well, little, nice, pretty vast right now, 11-point gap from third down to fourth. They'll be pretty happy to be the ones to receive it. Loops on the north side also looking to try and challenge up towards that bubble position. Every team definitely still within striking distance, but they're running their supply of games dry now. Bad games from this point out become terminal at the bottom of the tables. Xavier on the west side threw themselves a lifeline with that last one.
Yeah, and they really needed it. I mean, with Xavier, they jumped quite far up the lobby, but only into 9th place. Like it wasn't a game that suddenly they could breathe a sigh of relief. It was a game that we might be able to get to the top 6 now. So it's a good position to be in for Xavier. I think they do play well on that side of the match. Incilio cut out on the southeast side. Looks like they're going to try and rotate round. It was Loops to get ahead of Mirren Sejong up towards the compound on that north side. Not the team I thought would be able to do that, but I think some teams are assuming this is going to head back down towards the south 4MV. Apex is down. Reefus in no position to help out versus Evo Station at the moment.
Ooh, but Baron is. Elementrix goes down. That's going to slow them out just a little bit. Hop around the side. Evo Station still peeking. Lands the spray. The shotgun shell through the window there. And now back to the AUG. Not bothering to confirm the flush, but docks up for the fight. Steps in through the door. And Evo Station doesn't know which way's up. Will get taken down by the Doc. And it's up to Baron and Doc to keep their teammates safe. D plus Kia, though, wanting to try and move through this one. Keep this fight under control. Keep it bleeding so that they can extract the points from it. 18-1 so far is their scoreline. They're in the top 6. They want to keep 4MV beneath them.
4MV is getting a little bit dicey right now. They do get one of the reses through. Apex is bleeding out slowly but surely, and I don't know how likely it's going to be that they're able to pick him back up again. They're dropping smokes to maybe get across to him here, but again, we say this a lot. Can play on as 3 and attempting to get that player back up again, maybe not the best of ideas for you. Eastern shift on the circle. This means D plus has to get a move on. They know they get the initial flush out here, so for them it's much more of a priority to move over towards that north side, but they're happy to just leave Nolbu behind alongside with one other player to hold out 4MV. A smart choice, and they can anchor back over towards Fabian and Chips.
D plus Kia. We saw a couple of splits from them in that last game. It worked out quite well. They got a lot of points for it. So, looking to repeat that. A nice little separation on the southwest side to keep their options open. Not getting too bold. They could have very easily gone for a crash on this situation, Blank. And they could have very easily gone in and made that decision, but they didn't. They held back. they're playing those safe averages right now. It's Team Liquid losing players. It's Void Donkey ID putting their first point on the game and securing that top spot away from Incilio. 2 points behind now.
Yeah, great news for Void Donkey ID. And again, this is a really long rotate a lot of times for Void Donkey ID. The fact they're in this position over towards the western side of Stalber is great. They have a location to play down towards the south side if they want it. But overall, Void Donkey ID looking to take control of that staging on the mountain, the staircase upwards. Stalwart playing in Stalber itself over towards those ruins. They're very much out of the action for quite a while, I'd imagine. Major Pride, though, down to one player in just AZ.
Xavier making a wide wrap. They were up on the northwest edge blank near Severny, behind IWNRX, but they're wrapping down to the south side. They may spot a player from D+ here. This is a bit of an unexpected roll-up. If they can find this knock, it would be huge to open up this south side of the map, approach from that Yaz Lake, potentially. The Falcons are across the way, and D+ here may just have to send straight for it, forced into the fight by this rotate, this wide swing by Xavier. They're returning fire, however, in the meantime. From that high ground, Nolbu hops into the vehicle again. And Nate will just take that back step. A breather for Xavier. D+ Kia won't give in that easily.
I mean, D+, a very smart choice. I like the way they're angling themselves well, because they're sending Oshal as well as Nolbu to the front lines, essentially. And then they leave Fabian and Chips, their two best off-anglers, as backstops. So it's a very conscious decision, the way they're playing this. So they're always angling Oshal and Nolbu to the most dangerous regions of the map when it comes to those 2-2s. Yeah, lovely plays from them. But Xavier do get ahead on a very nice rotate. Over towards No Lean here. Good position to play overall. It has great sight lines outwards, and it's hard to assault because by the time you head over towards the ridge sides that look in towards these buildings, you're out in the open. I think that's the most significant thing about this compound that Xavier holds, and it's the one that I thought Void Donkey would take control of, but they're much happier sitting up over towards the rocks on that north side.
Might regret that, though, with the circle shift puts them right on the boundary for those teams on the north and maybe first to face. Xavier in that compound may have to face off against the roll-up. Ooh, 4MV. They're out and eliminated with one Elim, but D+ Kia may just be sending straight towards Xavier on this position. The Falcons, really the only team that could slow them down, and it looks like they're moving in a position to do that as Loops takes out Shifu. 77 on the northwest side, with Loops still looking to make their move. Nino wants the flash, but instead launches the nade over to Magnum. Gets 2 for the price of 1.
77 have been struggling a little bit so far. Magnum getting exploded on the vehicle as well. Not great news for them. Major Pride is now out. Alongside with 4MV, which happened very quickly in the space of one another. Neil looking to finish off the final player. I can't quite find him inside the smoke. Zadira finds Vitin on the back line, but a rundown does go through. And that will be 77 out in 14th place, 16 points. Not really gathering too much storm here for the team. IWNRX, though, they take this opportunity to get ahead of Loops. A smart choice and a smart time to do it.
Miran Sejong pushing into the west side as well, with IWNRX north and up the hill from them. They are slightly ahead, but you've got Team Liquid in the way. You've got Bigatron as well in the way on this northwest edge. And behind all of that sits Void Donkey ID. So a lot of teams trying to make their approach from this angle, and not all of them are going to be able to do it. The question is who will make that bid for freedom? Who will give themselves that opportunity? Maybe a breakout towards the east. I mean, kind of scouting there for IWNRX towards Stalwart.
For Stalwart, they are still really very far up on the high ground. Octaguri finds Loops consistently a very strong player here for Stalwart, though, despite that start of the Sandhawk where they were able to get a full knockdown over towards Xavier, it's not been a lot more than that. Falcons finding Miran Sejong. Hoxie's down. There's a lot of fighting on this northwest side, John.
Oh, it's getting hot. Over towards Void Donkey ID's position. Loops have nades into there. Could potentially be dangerous. The Falcons are getting moved aside by Miran Sejong. 2 players at theirs fall. There's the flashes coming through. Uriel, he's back. Miran Sejong is playing him. He's in the fold for them. And let's see what they're able to do with it, because he's got 2 elims already.
I play my trap card. Uriel getting knocked. Haha.
Oh.
dear. He's down.
He's dead.
Maybe say we can pick him up. No, it's a little bit too far away. So, for Mir and Sejong, they bring out their special move to get 3 eliminations. It's not horrible, it's not terrible, but it's not going to get them out of that position inside the lobby where they are lagging behind. Again, that's another one down. Seiru falls to top, one of the final 2 players remaining here for the Falcons, looking to keep their point scoring strong today. Yeah, hellish north side battle inside this circle. And RCB, another team, desperately needs to step up here. They have the center of the circle. They're facing off against the remainder of Loops.
There is a waterfall right now. RCB have nades on towards Loops from the high ground. Loops have nades onto Voin Donkey ID from the high ground. It is nasty stuff. And the damage is rolling downhill here. You can see there's a Molotov over towards Potato on Voin Donkey ID. And RCB just going to continue to put pressure on from that even further higher ground. Oh, this is nasty. Everybody going low, going down here. And the northwest side continues to be a battleground.
Yeah, the difference at the moment for Voin Donkey ID is that they're so out of the way, is that in certain ways they aren't all that exposed to these nades. Yes, that Molotov does go through, but what they're banking on at the moment is all of this. You can see over towards the northwest side. There is a bunch of eliminations to be picked up in the coming future. Not unless Team Liquid can shunt them aside, though, as Mythic makes his run out over towards the top. Voin Donkey is not looking out this way just yet.
Could be dangerous and could be another Team Liquid spoiler, but no. Bigatron have Satar out in the wing and able to get another point, get a little bit further. 4 elims found. They're up to 9 points and has got a first aid. Blasted back, though. Immediate response. The play zone, actually, want to get that knock. 4 elims. Not going to be enough to put them off that bottom side of the tables with Loops and Mir and Sejong both still alive and having elims too.
For RCB, a likely win this game. For RCB, we talked about them earlier needing to get themselves a big match to get themselves back in towards that running. Team Liquid taking down the rest of Falcons as Chief makes a big jump off the top side, and Voin Donkey's been waiting for this moment for quite a while. Will pick up that elimination. Potato is down, balled in the pot on the high ground, but he will get back up to the action, ready to mash the opposition. Kim is shots over towards Nolbu. This is over towards that south side. D+ have just been basically playing around this lake for a long while up against Incilio. And this fight is always funny to me because in this position, there's basically not a lot of opportunity to take proper shots at one another. It's a case of we throw nades at one another until one of them hits.
There's just no maneuverability. You can't flank out wide. And with the blue zone being on the far side of the lake, you can't take those off angles against it either. It is a pure linear up and over fight. And those nades hitting is the only thing that changes that. And that's exactly what Incilio have been able to find.
Yeah.
Finding that first elimination on the game.
There's also this case where D+ lost a player for early, and Incilio makes the very good call to send 3TN over towards this position, which has cover from a lot of the high ground. But better yet, it means that D+ are locked into the location now. Because if they ever move out, 3TN always has sightlines over towards these positions. It's a smart move, and it's one that you see fairly commonly over here. It's a case of how you play it out. If you play it out well, yes, it's really successful. If you play it badly, you can start losing players all over the place. But I don't think Incilio have let this up, and they have really successfully held this position. Loops now versus Voin Donkey ID. It's one player alive, and Rafinha looking to take shots, but there immediately should be some clapback. Gets back behind the tree. Really well done. That will keep at least one of the players from Voin Donkey ID still up in action. We should be able to quickly clean out this last player from Rafinha.
That should have been a flush for Rafinha. That's so unfortunate not to be able to find that for Loops, especially in the position they're in, desperately needing points. Voin Donkey ID, this is still a risky res, but a hard north shift on the circle blank gives them a little bit of time to play with. RCB now have Stalwart to worry about on that north side, and behind that, Voin Donkey ID will put pressure on. DX Xavier, in the meantime, they're starting to move out. They've put 2 players forwards into the foothills underneath RCB.
for Silas and the gang, it is very much an important game here. They had such a significant position inside the circle. Now they need to capitalize off the back of it. They've already got 5 eliminations, so well done to them. They have not been quiet inside this circle, holding on to this position. Stalwart, though, they were further up Stalbert than they were and have been able to slide in on behind them on that north side. RCB taking shots once again, but it's Voin Donkey actually sending them away here. Vexy with some wonderful shots on the Scar.
He's got the SKS this time. A different DMR, but will still be able to take those tap shots over. The Scar on the backhand as well. And they are just about crunched into this circle. Stalwart don't have free reign to roll them down right now because of the RCB position. DXavier moving up, covering themselves off with these cliff hills. These little nodules that protrude ever so slightly, giving you so little cover, but can be all the difference that you need. And Cilio also moving to this west side. The Vicious are just alone right now.
No one's challenged them. They're happy to sit over towards that side of the map. I mean, they need more points, currently in 17. Cilio moving up towards RCB without really any contest whatsoever. Fash really just takes a little bit of damage and then will move away off the back of it. And Stalwart look to backstab over towards RCB. I think they're going to have to consolidate over towards the buildings. Good shots from Potato over towards DXavier, though, with the hand-in-hand action from Incilio.
Big wraparound. Voin Donkey ID, they know they're not going to be able to get over the top, so they go around the sides here. Levi's is down in the meantime, 2 players alive, and Voin Donkey ID putting pressure on them with all 4 of them. The nades raining downhill. The smoke train keeps Lamborghini safe for a little bit. Razor does take a little lick of damage in response, but the nades keep on going. Stalwart suppressing this fight a little bit, but Vexy staying on that long-range back angle here. Split from the rest of the team. Lamborghini cut down, a nade over the top. The low ground, the only sanctuary for DXavier, but that will run dry soon. Point stolen by Incilio.
I don't think Voin Donkey ID really care that much, though. All they're looking for here right now is placement points. They already got 6 eliminations. Into a top 6 is fantastic. Any team they can injure and wound just means a higher placing in this game. We said they needed around a 5-point average. They got 5 points that last match. They profited a little bit here with 6 points. And with the placement starting to rack up now, Voin Donkey ID is in a wonderful spot.
They can go further. DXavier eliminated, the last player out. An unfortunate turn of events for them. It felt like maybe they had a chance here, but being downhill on the angle they held, really, really rough. Incilio's approach outside towards RCB, I mean, that really slow roll-up from Fash in the hovercraft seems to confuse them, because RCB now only have 1 player left to stand. Stalwart are crunching in on this north side, and I think RCB are about to go down. Indeed, they fall. 5 elims in a 5th place for the position they're in is pretty dire, Blank.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, for RCB, what they needed was a flex out either towards the west, the north, or the south. I don't think they could sit there for much longer. Gives you a lot of space and a lot of defense to work with, but eventually you're going to get rocked up on by the north squads as well as the south squads. You can both like play off the back of one another because neither have angles on each other, but do have angles over towards this location. Voin Donkey will take the scary move and move over towards his position. Nade goes out. Unfortunately, doesn't tag over towards the player from Incilio who just got rezzed on Westrom.
No helmet for Zeta as well. You guys have been through it. Potato on the low ground, managed to get a refresh onto the level 3 helmet there. This is the Vicious. I mean, they've been alone for so long. You'd hope that they've established control over this one, but they're a little bit cut out on the edge. Not really too much ground to use to approach because of Stalwart's high ground angle. You can see the open hill that sits there. If the Vicious push up, they need that north side, that north pairing to move at the same time to put pressure on Stalwart and allow them through.
Hee top 3 for me. That's what's going through Vicious's mind right now. I mean, it's been a very, very casual game, laid-back game for Vicious. 0 eliminations, but yeah, most likely a top 3 coming their way. We'll see what happens, though, because they do have to push through Incilio, who have a nice lineup. Honestly, probably the best position in the lobby at the moment to control. Voin Donkey ID, though, now starting to expend nades. You see them all having them in hand. We send them across the top side. One player did go down, and Voin Donkey ID actually taking control of this game, John.
Getting in the driver's seat, 7 elims. And Stalwart, they do have that high ground angle that pushes Incilio back. They can't really move forwards off of it, though. With the circle shifting out this way, the Vicious are going to put pressure onto Incilio on those side angles. 2 players down for them. Westron, sorry, not down, but will be low either way. Stalwart looking for their opening, but there just really isn't anything to do here. The Vicious are keeping them penned onto this high ground, and vice versa as well. A backline is finally found as the nade over to Westron does get the knock. Fash, nade up high, good on the cook, but Reyes steps back into it, doesn't fall, and Fash goes low, over towards Point Donkey ID. He's in danger now from Stalwart, but the Vicious are the ones to rise to the challenge.
3TN looking to get further into this game, it seems. Point Donkey very low. Zeta goes down in the front line. That's the 3TM with a nice off angle. Potato extremely low as well, and it will be Octagori from that top side. Huge shots taking advantage of it, and 3TN once again on a lovely off angle will find big value off this game. And Voin Donkey ID would have loved to go down in 3rd place, but that's looking less and less likely here.
Clutchmaster down, it's up to the rest of Voin Donkey, but Potato's out as well. Vexy, the long-range specialist, now in the CQB. Can he hold his nerve? Sanchez rolls him down, and Voin Donkey ID go down in 3rd place and ahead of Incilio. That should break the tie at the top, but is someone else going to try and push on through with 9 Elim? Stalwart, they have an opportunity here. A heavily Elim-focused team from the survival stage. They were a standout when it came to those firefights. Those placements not backing it up, but here they might find both.
It's very telling of how both these teams have played, of where they're going to drop over towards the top 6, right? I think Stalwart has really pulled a lot of value out of this game. They took their time, they were patient with it. Now it is a test of them up against the Vicious, who have not taken a lot of fights, but equally don't have a lot of util to work with. Everyone full stimming. Octagui has to have a big impact here on that sideline. I'm not sure how I feel about this sideline push coming through from Stalwart, because it denies the sideline from Octaguri. Fearless goes down, and Octaguri cannot help, so Sancho and Fearless not really playing into their teammate here.
Reyes has to go for the linear peak, though. Fortunately, it's going to work out, so it's all up to Octaguri as he descends down the hill. Doesn't take any damage from that spray. You kidding me? All right. Reyes allowed another opportunity, though, with the black to the blue. It is Octaguri to keep on going. Spotted under the vehicle, though. Threads the needle on the fight, and the Vicious take the chicken dinner.
A very nice game for the Vicious, and that will see them a little bit happier in the tables. And you can tell just how much the last chance means to these teams. The celebrations are bombastic here. But yes, Stalwart makes a critical mistake at the last portion of the match, with Octaguri being so good on those off angles and hitting some fantastic shots, only for Sanchir and Fearless to essentially go rogue in that end game. What were they thinking?
Head scratching.
They're scratching. That's what they're thinking. They got itchy foreheads here, Blake, because don't scratch. I'm going to scratch. The Vicious able to close out the game, though, playing from the eastern hand side. I mean, Max, we saw them pretty much avoid most of these fights here, making sure to get into the late game. And hey, you can't really knock it when it works.
Yeah, it worked out just as they wanted here. They were like, okay, we'll just send it on, what was it, phase 2, I think, Jason, in the warehouse south of Stolber. Waited out, then they avoided the plethora of fights that were happening. Hotchuk's northern side, you had 6-7 teams. You had teams fighting on the southern side, like D plus Kia and Cilio. The west also had some fights happening around that compound with Deep Xavier. Central teams like RCB and Stalwart, and Vicious were just chilling on the east and just waiting for the circle to move in, and they were like, we get easy chicken dinner with what, like 5 eliminations to wrap it up. It's a way to do it, and that is a good amount of points when you only have 12 matches to play here in Last Chance.
Hey, the Latinos clutching it up right here. We love to see that. I'll tell you one thing, though. You know, one thing that they need to kind of calm down is after a chicken dinner like this, those daps were just a little too hard. You know what I'm saying? Last thing you need is an injury at this stage.
Gotta dap it up,
right? yeah. You know what? Just give each other that good old support. And man, I mean, great game for them at the end of the day, because this is that sneaky team that I've been calling about, right? Because they just put themselves in a good, solid position. I mean, heck, this amount of points is great for their total score. At the end of the day, they're just hunting down that top 6. And I said that this is a team that I think that if they're gonna be able to make it to the grand finals, they're gonna sneak in that 5th, 6th position. So at least in my